Chapter 130. Zhou Fu was shocked. Just as he was about to get up, a sharp pain spread from his body. His face instantly scrunched up. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a young man in a lake blue robe lying on his favorite recliner. "Oh, you don't say. This chair is really good. Send one to me tomorrow." Zhou Fu was silent and dispersed the power he had gathered. Since the other party was able to approach him silently, it meant that the other party's strength was definitely above his, and not just by a little bit. "May I ask who you are?" "Me?" The young man sized up Zhou Fu and said, "My name is Xing Feng, Xing Gang's younger brother." At this point, Xing Feng grinned. "Sure Long is also one of my people." This straightforward opening stunned Zhou Fu for a moment. Then he said, "Greetings, second young master." This was the first time Zhou Fu called someone young master, so he was still not used to it. "I can't afford to be called second young master." Xing Feng shook his head. "I'm the third brother. Xing Gang is the second brother. We have a big brother above us." "Oh, greetings, third young master." After saying that, Zhou Fu just looked at Xing Feng without saying anything. Xing Feng rocked on the recliner for a while before saying, "Today, the entire upper echelon of the giant whale was shocked. A blood transformation realm cultivator was actually killed by 3-bone forging realm cultivators. Everyone felt that it was inconceivable. It was also because of this that I wanted to meet you." Zhou Fu smiled bitterly. "I'd rather not have this reputation. Who knew that a blood transformation realm cultivator who just broke through would be so powerful? Almost the three of us would have died." From Zhou Fu's face and tone of voice, Xing Feng was sure that he was injured. It would take at least a few months for him to recover from this injury. This was also what he wanted. As the saying goes, adding flowers to brocade was easier to win people's hearts than sending charcoal in snowy weather. There are no accidents in life. Tong San Huai is dead, and the one who survived is you. This is the truth. Everything else doesn't matter. Xing Feng smiled and said, "Xing Gang has prepared 10 blood yang pills for you to reward you for killing the enemy gang's experts. That is something that only the Xing family possesses. 10 pills are equivalent to 1 month's share of Xing Gang's allowance. What do you think? Are you touched?" Blood yang pill. Hearing the word yang in the pill, Zhou Fu felt a strange feeling in his heart. According to the information he got from Zhao Wanshan last night, those who practiced the body refining hall's techniques had excessive heart fire. They had to use Yin attribute techniques to neutralize it or use Yin nourishing pills to alleviate it. Knowing that Xing Gang had actually taken out such a precious pill, Zhou Fu was half excited and half helpless. Zhou Fu cupped his fists and said in the direction of the giant whale's headquarters, "Thank you, gang leader, for your reward." At this moment, Xing Feng was stunned. After a while, he grinned and decided to change the topic. He asked, "Let me ask you, are you loyal to Xing Gang?" This question stumped Zhou Fu. What was loyalty? He had just joined a gang. Not only had he caused a lot of trouble, but now he had to pledge his loyalty? Even a cult wouldn't do this, right? Zhou Fu stammered for a long time before saying, "I'm the giant whale's external affairs emissary. Naturally, I will follow the orders of the headquarters. Isn't this what I should do?" The rocking chair stopped and stopped swaying. Xing Feng, who was lying on it, stared straight at Zhou Fu's expression. He seemed to be trying to discern whether or not Zhou Fu was telling the truth. Finally, Xing Feng sat up and crossed his legs on the reclining chair. He said, "You didn't pledge your loyalty to Xing Gang? In other words, you didn't become Xing Gang's servant?" Without waiting for Zhou Fu to speak, Xing Feng said, "That's right. If you were his servant, he wouldn't have passed the magical whale killing fist to you." Zhou Fu, who was about to speak, felt his heart tighten. Magical whale killing fist? Tyrannical whale fist? Zhou Fu laughed dryly and said, "I don't know what third young master means. I didn't cultivate this magical whale killing fist." Xing Feng waved his hand and said, "It's that tyrannical whale fist. Its original name was magical whale killing fist. It's a technique passed down by a big evil sect. Although it's powerful, it has too many flaws. The requirements to cultivate it are also very strict. It's been in my family for so long, but only a few people have cultivated it." Xing Feng said with great interest. I heard you're very proficient in this technique. Show it to me. Zhou Fu said with difficulty. Third young master, do you think I can still make a move now? What move? I'm a mortal evolution state. Do you want to try it with me? Xing Feng smiled faintly. Just circulate your qi. You don't have to make a move. Mortal evolution? This person was mortal evolution? Zhou Fu was extremely shocked. Then, I'll be offending you. Rumble. A blood-red mist enveloped the space within a 2-meter radius. Cold, killing intent, and the smell of blood surged everywhere. It made the surroundings look like hell. Xing Feng's figure blurred, and then he appeared in front of Zhou Fu. His eyes were wide open. You really cultivated it for a few months? Not more than 10 years. Zhou Fu spoke. At this moment, his voice had also become cold and stiff. I obtained this cultivation technique from the gang leader. Okay, take it back. Yes. The killing intent dissipated, and the red mist returned to his body. Xing Feng looked at Zhou Fu as though he was looking at a monster and said, someone like you, which is old too, is crazy. He actually wants to use you as a weapon. TSK, TSK. As he spoke, he walked around Zhou Fu. Since you're not old too, servant, how about you follow me? Zhou Fu asked, be your servant? Servant? That's what I thought before coming, but now I've changed my mind. Xing Feng's face turned serious. As long as you agree to follow me, I'll give you a chance 3 years later. A huge chance. Then he looked at Zhou Fu and smiled. It's still too early to talk about this. Let's talk about the current situation. You're heavily injured now, and I don't have any good healing pills. However, I have a healing cultivation method. It's Heaven Tier. Are you interested? Heaven Realm cultivation method. Zhou Fu's heart skipped a beat. Although it was precious, it wasn't enough to shock him. This was because the martial arts he knew now weren't inferior to others. In fact, they were stronger. Oh, it seems like I didn't offer enough. Xing Feng, who had been observing Zhou Fu's expression, sighed. I wouldn't dare. Zhou Fu lowered his head and said, there's nothing to be afraid of. However, this is the best thing I can offer you. Since you're not satisfied, then tell me if there's anything you want. After saying that, Xing Feng kicked the ball back to him. At this time, Zhou Fu was in a difficult position. Whether it was Xing Feng or Xing Gang, they could be seen as his leaders. The giant whale could be seen as a family business, and Zhou Fu was just a worker. Because of the special nature of his job, it didn't matter who he followed. The key was how to maximize his benefits within his control. Qi deposition pills. I want a lot of them. Chapter 131. Qi deposition pills. Xing Feng, who was waiting for Zhou Fu to ask for an exorbitant price, was a little confused. You said you want qi deposition pills? He had thought of many things, but he had never thought of qi deposition pills. For the current Xing Feng, he hadn't touched these things in a long time. Yes, Zhou Fu nodded. I want to cultivate, so I need a lot of qi deposition pills. A lot? Xing Feng immediately grasped the main point. How much? 300 pills a month. What? 300 pills? Are you going to eat them for food? Xing Feng jumped up immediately. This amount was beyond his expectations. Zhou Fu didn't explain. He took out a small box from his chest. Inside was the last of the Chen family's leftovers. There were about 7 or 8 pills. In front of Xing Feng, he grabbed the pills and threw the box away. He rubbed his hands together, and the wax coat fell off. Xing Feng was about to say something when he saw Zhou Fu swallow all the pills in one gulp. He was dumbfounded. Zhou Fu shrugged his shoulders helplessly and said, I bought these from the market. The quality is much worse than the ones in the gang. Third young master, you saw it too. Although I can't eat them for food, a normal amount really isn't enough for me. Xing Feng reached out and poked Zhou Fu's chest. Even if it's from the market, you can't eat it like this. Speaking of which, don't you need to meditate to digest it? Zhou Fu shook his head and replied, I don't need to meditate for this amount. I can digest it slowly. Good guy. Oh my God. Xing Feng was full of praise. At the same time, he thought to himself, this guy won't eat me until I'm broke, right? 300 pills a month. You're making things difficult for me. These pills are useless to me, but I really don't have the amount you want. How about you change your request? Zhou Fu retorted, if third young master can take out something that can speed up my cultivation, I will naturally be willing to exchange it. Assisting cultivation, something that can speed up the cultivation of bone forging, seems to only be the spirit concentration pill. Sai, let me think. After saying that, Xingfeng lay back in the rocking chair and rocked slowly. Zhou Fu was not in a hurry. As the saying goes, the road to happiness is strewn with setbacks. 15 minutes later, Xingfeng said, I really can't give you the 300 spirit concentration pills you want every month, and what I'm using now isn't suitable for you. How about this? I'll make the decision to give you the pill formula for the spirit concentration pill. Pill formula. The surprise came too suddenly. Zhou Fu was stunned. Xingfeng continued, don't be too happy yet. The spirit concentration pill formula I'm giving you isn't ordinary. First of all, you have to guarantee that this thing can't be leaked out. Secondly, the corresponding pill cannot be circulated on the market. If you can guarantee that, I'll give you the formula. If you can't, then I can't do anything. What if it gets leaked out? What? Xingfeng grinned like a willow in the spring breeze. Everyone related to the pill formula will die. I'll do it myself. Since the conversation had already reached this point, Zhou Fu no longer hesitated. He stood up and bowed. This subordinate greets third young master. Ha! Good, good. Xingfeng laughed heartily. He didn't know if it was because he took in a genius like Zhou Fu under his command or because he caused trouble for Xinggang. But in any case, he was very happy. After laughing for a while, Xingfeng stopped and said, Oh right, now that you and Shilong are my people, let's forget about the past. I'll also get someone to talk to Shilong, yes. Zhou Fu didn't feel burdened by this matter. It wasn't that Zhou Fu was magnanimous. Although he had let go of this matter, the resentment in his heart could be vented on other things. He could vent it on Shilong again. These were two different things. At least for Zhou Fu, they were two different things. After all, his new boss had spoken. No matter what the purpose of this request was, Zhou Fu had to give face. This way, it would be easier for him to ask for something. Okay, someone will send the cultivation method and pill formula over later. Thank you, third young master. Zhou Fu smiled happily. At this time, he wasn't used to calling the other party young master. Instead, he became more and more familiar with it. After all, how could he give up the benefits for the sake of his own feelings? As long as the benefits were enough, not to mention calling him third young master, he would even call him third master. At this time, Xingfeng was calculating in his heart. Now, in the giant whale, except for a few elders who didn't care much about the giant whale's affairs, and the rest were mostly his own people. How could Xinggang fight with him? He. All right, Zhou Fu, don't tell anyone that you're following me for the time being. Otherwise, it will affect my second brother negatively. Also, a year later, the battle between you and Shilong will still be held as scheduled. A year later? Battle? Zhou Fu was a little confused. Xingfeng said in surprise, You don't know? Know what? A year later, the giant whale competition will be held. The winner will become the faction leader. What? Zhou Fu looked at Xingfeng in shock. Looks like you really don't know. Zhou Fu frowned and asked, Third young master, will second young master Xing participate in the competition? The mention of second young master Xing made Xingfeng laugh. No need for that. You can just call him by his name. Moreover, my second brother won't participate in the competition. If he participates, then what's the point of the competition? Zhou Fu nodded. Then what will Xinggang do if he doesn't want to be the faction leader? Although Xingfeng said so, Zhou Fu was still very confused. After a few months of understanding, he knew that the giant whale was not small. How could he give up the position of the faction leader just like that? How could he be so generous? Xingfeng didn't explain anything to Zhou Fu this time. He said, You don't have to worry about that. Just focus on your own things. You have to know that I was originally the faction leader of the giant whale, but my second brother insisted on taking it from me. I had no choice but to let him play with it. The words, let him play with it, made Zhou Fu feel a little uncomfortable. He was a little jealous and envious. but it only lasted for a moment before he suppressed the messy thoughts in his heart. Xing Feng continued. Xing Gang has been the faction leader for so many years. Not only did he not do anything, but his cultivation also fell behind a lot. The elders in his family are already angry. When he goes back, he will suffer, as if he thought of Xing Gang's tragic ending. The smile on Xing Feng's face became even brighter. Okay, I've said what I needed to say. I've also done what I wanted to do. I won't stay any longer. Xing Feng stood up, looked at Zhou Fu, and said, "Rest well. I'll send someone to send the pill, formula, and cultivation method over tomorrow. I'm leaving." As Xing Feng said leaving, Zhou Fu looked over, but he didn't see anything. Xing Feng disappeared in front of his eyes just like that. Is this the strength of an extraordinary? Chapter 132. The next day, Zhou Fu had just entered the practice room when he saw a box on the mat he was meditating on. He walked over and opened it. Spring Breeze Nurturing Technique. It's actually this secret manual. Zhou Fu was overjoyed. Ever since he found out about the whereabouts of this technique, he had planned to find an opportunity to get it from the Xing family. He didn't expect this technique to be delivered to him just because he had a new boss. It was really a blessing from the heavens. Zhou Fu picked up the technique and saw that there was a piece of paper at the bottom of the box. The pill formula for this spirit concentration pill was recorded on it. Immediately, he called for Yuzhu, who was outside, and asked her to find Chun Guhong. After about an hour, Chun Guhong rushed over. "Greetings, sir." Zhou Fu took out the copy of the pill formula that Yuzhu had copied and handed it over. "This is the formula for the spirit concentration pill. Remember it well. Don't spread it out." Chun Guhong's heart tightened. From Zhou Fu's tone, he could feel the seriousness of this matter. He hurriedly replied, "Yes, I will remember it well." Then he stretched out his hands and took the pill formula. He folded it neatly and kept it close to his chest. After the matter of the pill formula was settled, Zhou Fu casually asked, "How's the Jin family's business route?" "Sir, I already knew about the 2 business routes of the Jin family. I have already informed leader Duan Chung about it. Now, he has already brought people to deal with it. There is no news back yet." Zhou Fu nodded and said, "Ma'am, I got it. If there's nothing else, you can go back." "Sir, I still have one more thing." "Speak." Chun Guhong took out a box from his chest and placed it on the table beside Zhou Fu. He opened the box and revealed the pills inside. "Sir, these are the spirit concentration pills that were just made. I was going to deliver them to you. There are a total of 50 pills in this box." 50 pills? Now that he had the Xing family's elixir formula, Zhou Fu no longer wanted to consume these crude spirit concentration pills. He closed the lid and passed it back to Chun Guhong, who was still in a daze. He said, "Leave these elixirs for the guards in the future. Don't reveal the formula that I gave you just now." "Yes, this subordinate understands." "Go." This subordinate will take his leave. After everything was arranged, Zhou Fu returned to the practice room and took out the spring wind and rain nourishing body art. The system prompt immediately sounded. Ding! Martial arts spring breeze healing body nourishing art is being loaded. Loading successful. Do you want to upgrade it? Status. 85. Zhou Fu confirmed the status value and then silently said in his heart, "Upgrade." Ding! Spring breeze healing body nourishing art has leveled up successfully. Spring breeze healing body nourishing art. Level 1. Advanced recovery level 1. Advanced physique strengthening level 1. Spirit focus level 1. As the prompt sounded, all the muscles in Zhou Fu's body started to tremble slightly. He felt numb, as if countless tiny electric currents were flowing through his body. After about 10 minutes, the electric currents disappeared. Zhou Fu raised his hand. This action caused his eyes to light up. Originally, because the level of the secret manual of iron bones was too high, all the bones in his body were extremely heavy. Any random movement would cause him to feel extremely uncoordinated and even painful. Now, this uncoordinated feeling had lessened by half. Even the pain did not appear. Effective. Zhou Fu looked at his status value again. It actually only decreased by 6 points. Continue leveling up. Ding! Ding! 2 consecutive prompts sounded. Zhou Fu had leveled up by 2 levels. Spring breeze, healing body, nourishing art. Level 3. Advanced recovery level 3. Advanced physique strengthening level 3. Spirit focus level 3. After a quarter of an hour, Zhou Fu, who was drenched in sweat, opened his eyes. He took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Breathing in and out, it actually lasted for 5 minutes. Now my body is finally normal. For the next few days, Zhou Fu once again lived a fulfilling and boring life. Boxing, stance, and Qi training filled up the entire day. Just like that, 7 days passed. In the afternoon, just as Zhou Fu was about to start practicing, Jin Peng came over with a letter in his hand. Subordinate greets Lord. To be honest, the current Zhou Fu really did not want to see Jin Peng. As long as he saw him, something must have happened. At this time, it was already the 8th day since Zhou Fu broke through to the bone-forging stage. His body's transformation was still not complete. It was still firmly and slowly progressing, as if there was no end. He wanted to maintain his current life until his body's strengthening was complete. Unfortunately, the heavens were not on his side. What's the matter? Jin Peng handed over a beautiful invitation with both hands and said, Lord, the Foreign Affairs Envoy of the Red Sea Gang, Iron Tiger, sent you an invitation. He took the invitation and opened it. I haven't seen you for a few months. I never thought that the old friend of Haiyang City has now become the Foreign Affairs Envoy of the Giant Whale. But it's really worth celebrating. Tonight, I will hold a banquet in Chengyu. I also hope that Zhou Fuwei will not refuse. An old friend of Haiyang City? Zhou Fu was in a trance for a moment, and then sneered. If Iron Tiger had not sold his information to the Hidden Dragon Guard, he would not have been hostile to several forces. Iron Tiger. Oh, it's really been a long time. Zhou Fu put away the invitation, looked at Jin Peng, and said, Later, prepare a car for me. Yes. At night, Zhou Fu took a carriage and came to Chengyu, the location of the banquet. Getting out of the carriage, a big man in the clothes of the Red Sea Gang came to Zhou Fu, with a pair of big eyes flashing with killing intent. Are you Zhou Fu, the Foreign Affairs Envoy of the Giant Whale? Zhou Fu's eyes flashed a cold light. Unexpectedly, the other party dared to show his strength to him. Could it be that Tai who was a fool? Didn't he inquire about Zhou Fu's record? Did he think that today's Zhou Fu was the playboy of Haiyang City half a year ago? The bodyguard who followed Zhou Fu flashed and came to the front of the big man in the blink of an eye. He kicked out like lightning, and the shadow in the air flashed twice in succession. Crack! Ah! The big man screamed and knelt down. At this time, his knees were broken into several pieces. The bodyguard who attacked sneered and reached out to grab the big man who was about to fall to the ground. He turned around and pressed the big man in front of Zhou Fu. Sir, this person spoke arrogantly. I took action without permission. Please punish me. Taking action without permission is punishable. The people around looked at Zhou Fu in amazement. Everyone could hear that the bodyguard was not asking for punishment, but asking for a reward. He flicked out a Qi condensing pill. The bodyguard subconsciously reached out to catch it. Zhou Fu stepped into the restaurant. When he passed by the bodyguard, he said, Without orders, you will be punished with a month's salary. In addition, I am very satisfied with your way of handling things. I will reward you with a Qi condensing pill. The bodyguard was overjoyed and hurriedly said, Thank you, sir. At this time, the people around were extremely envious. As for the month's salary, who cared about that thing? A month's salary could buy a Qi condensing pill? Dream on. It was obvious that this clever guard had struck gold. Jin Peng walked to the side of the bodyguard and said in a low voice, Are you guarding the coffin here? Get up and follow me. The bodyguard stood up and kicked away the big man who was howling in pain. He stepped forward and followed Zhou Fu. Chapter 133. Zhou Fu went up to the second floor, and a loud laughter sounded. Ha ha! Brother Zhou, I haven't seen you for a few months, you. Iron Tiger, who got up to greet him, was stunned. He stood at the top of the stairs and looked at Zhou Fu, who was a head taller than him. He was at a loss. A few months ago, when the two of them were still in Haiyang City, Zhou Fu was not as tall as this. You have really changed a lot. Zhou Fu smiled and said, "Aren't I still growing?" Iron Tiger grinned at this answer. He had seen people who grew taller, but he had never seen someone who grew so fast. He laughed awkwardly to hide the awkwardness in his heart and said, "Brother Zhou, you're not used to coming to Ning'an, right? Although you've grown a lot, you're not as strong as before. Please come in. I prepared a big meal for you. You can eat to your heart's content today." After that, he looked at the people who came up with Zhou Fu and said to Zhou Fu, "Brother Zhou, how about this? Let's meet and have a heart-to-heart talk. As for these people, I'll prepare a table of food and wine for them. I won't let them suffer. What do you think?" Zhou Fu's eyes flashed, and he turned around to look, then turned back and nodded. "Then I'll have to trouble you, brother." "Hey, no trouble, no trouble." Iron Tiger ordered the waiter. "Prepare 2 tables of food and wine downstairs. Go quickly." "Yes, brother, please come in." Together. Following Iron Tiger to the door of the private room, a guard hurriedly ran up and approached Iron Tiger. This person did not speak, but under Iron Tiger's puzzled gaze, he fearfully looked at Zhou Fu, and then hurriedly looked away. "Ha, brother Zhou, I'm sorry, you go in first, I'll be right there." After Zhou Fu entered, the guard quickly whispered a few words in Iron Tiger's ear and then retreated. Iron Tiger's expression changed. Doubt, shock, and anger intertwined. At the door of the private room, he calmed himself down and put on a smile. He pushed the door open and walked in. "Ha ha ha ha, I'm really sorry. There are a lot of things going on in the sect. Brother, please don't take offense." As he spoke, he walked to the table and sat down. "What are you talking about, brother? Now that I'm a giant whale's ambassador, I'm in charge of Elysium. With so many people working under me, there's a lot of work to be done." The corners of Iron Tiger's eyes twitched when he heard this. If the person sitting in front of him was a man in his 30s, it would not be a problem for him to say this. However, the person sitting at the table was Zhou Fu. He had a tender and fair face, and he was in his teens. It was a little strange for him to sigh like this. "Ha, brother Zhou, you're deeply touched. You're indeed a big merchant. If your father knew, he would be very pleased." Iron Tiger also pretended to sigh a little. His intention was to point out that Zhou Fu was, "I called you brother because I thought highly of you, but it did not mean that you were on the same level as me. At the very least, I'm in the same generation as your father." Zhou Fu did not care, but it was as if he did not understand the deeper meaning in his words. He responded with a smile, "I don't know if the old man is pleased or not. He's a merchant who lies at home all day counting money. How would he know the difficulties of us young people who are struggling outside?" "Sigh," he sneered in his heart. "You want to be in the same generation as me? Dream on." "Ha ha ha." Iron Tiger's expression changed slightly, and he laughed awkwardly. He changed the topic and chatted for a while. Then he picked up the wine jug and was about to pour Zhou Fu some wine. "Big brother, don't." Zhou Fu raised his hand and slammed the wine cup on the table. He looked at Iron Tiger's ugly expression and said apologetically, "Big brother, I never drink." "Really?" Iron Tiger raised the wine jug and looked at Zhou Fu with anger and embarrassment. His chest heaved up and down a few times, and then he slowly said, "Brother Zhou, it's not that I want to scold you, but what you're doing, are you looking down on me?" At this time, Zhou Fu's hand was still on the bottom of the wine cup. "Haha, what are you talking about? After receiving your invitation, I didn't even have dinner." "Then what do you mean by this? Didn't I tell you? I don't drink alcohol." Tai, who put down the wine jug, his eyes flashed coldly. Who in Yong City doesn't know about young Master Zhou's reputation? Who doesn't know about him? How dare he say that he doesn't drink? The smile on Zhou Fu's face didn't change, and he said calmly, "I was young and inexperienced. Now that we're not in Hayong City anymore, we can't be like before. I hope you can forgive me." Although Zhou Fu said that he was magnanimous, the look on his face and the resolute look in his eyes told Tai Hu that he was not going to drink. "Fine." Iron Tiger's expression changed, and he shouted angrily, "Brother Zhou, you've really grown up after leaving Hayong City." "Me?" In Zhou Datsai, Zhou Fu suddenly spoke up, interrupting Tai Hu's words. "Brother, why are you so muddle-headed before you even drink?" Anger filled Iron Tiger's face, and his eyes were full of viciousness. "Brother Zhou, tell me, how am I muddle-headed?" "Big brother, you call me brother, but you call my father's name. That's not very good. Then how should I address you?" Iron Tiger's tone was full of anger. "Why don't you call me uncle?" Bang! Taihu slammed his palm down, and the table between the two of them broke with a cracking sound. The dishes on the table spilled all over the floor. "Bastard!" Iron Tiger stared at Zhou Fu. "You've really grown up? You think you can do whatever you want just because you're Wu Jianya, the giant whale's external affairs emissary, and the Elysium?" Bullsh asterisk T. Iron Tiger's face was flushed, and his eyes were bloodshot. "Others don't know, but how can I not know? I can say that I've watched you practice. You're just a little talented, and there are many talented people out there. In the end, didn't you rely on your connections to ride on the giant whale's coattails? Oomph. There's actually a rumor that you can kill Tong San Huai. Do you really think I'm a 3-year-old kid?" Zhou Fu was a little stunned. It wasn't that this person in front of him didn't know about his achievements, but that he didn't believe it. The reason was also reasonable. When he practiced martial arts, he practiced in front of this person. "Little Zhou." Iron Tiger's body leaned forward slightly, as if to give Zhou Fu a stronger sense of oppression. "I don't care who's behind you. Didn't they say that you brought 2 bone-forging experts and killed our people? Hand over those 2 people. This matter is settled. Otherwise..." Zhou Fu leaned back and asked curiously, "Otherwise what?" "Otherwise what?" Iron Tiger sneered. "You're just a merchant's son from a small town. If you insist on seeing the dangers of the world, no one can save you." Chapter 134. Iron Tiger stared at Zhou Fu and said viciously, "You should know that the Xing clan is not God, and they are not your biological father. They will not always protect you. Young man, you must think carefully and not be impulsive." He. Looking at Iron Tiger's expression, Zhou Fu laughed softly. His laughter grew louder and louder, while Iron Tiger, who was sitting in front of him, had an increasingly ugly expression. "What are you laughing at? What's so funny? Why don't you tell me, Brother Zhou, and let me be happy too?" Iron Tiger squinted his eyes, and a dangerous glint flickered in them. Nothing. The laughter stopped. Zhou Fu still had a smile on his face as he shook his head. "I just thought of something fun." "Humph." Iron Tiger snorted coldly. Zhou Fu said, "In other words, as long as I hand over the 2 bone-forging experts, this matter will be settled?" "Yes." "Actually," Zhou Fu looked at Iron Tiger and said slowly, "I still want to get closer to Big Brother Iron. If after this matter, Big Brother is not willing to interact with Little Brother, then it will be a great pity." Good. Iron Tiger was so angry that he laughed. You have guts. Following Iron Tiger's laughter, 2 people walked in from outside the room. Their bodies emitted a fierce aura that enveloped Zhou Fu. "Brat, do you really think that I don't dare to kill you?" Boom! The room's window suddenly shattered, and the broken wood was carried by the energy as it flew towards Iron Tiger and the other 2. "Who is it?" The 2 experts behind Iron Tiger shouted angrily. For pairs of palms pushed out, and the fierce palm energy dispersed the incoming energy in wood. The energy from the collision dissipated. Beside Zhou Fu stood 4 guards with cold expressions. Their fierce auras locked onto Iron Tiger and the other 2. "You!" Iron Tiger looked at Zhou Fu in shock and anger. The sternness in his eyes faded a little and was replaced by fear. Zhou Fu stood up and looked at Iron Tiger, whose expression was unsightly, and said, "You've been in Jianghu for so long. Don't you understand one thing? Jianghu isn't just about fighting and killing." These words made a lot of sense. Even the 4 third-stage bone-forging bodyguards that came with Zhou Fu were attracted by these words. For a moment, everyone in the room looked at Zhou Fu, waiting for the second half of his sentence. Unexpectedly, Zhou Fu turned around and left. Just as he was about to step out of the door, he turned around and looked at Iron Tiger. He shook his head and sighed. "Everyone relies on connections. Why are you so useless?" After saying that, he turned around and left. Looking at the empty door, Iron Tiger came back to his senses. His blood rushed to his head and his face turned red. His eyes were bloodshot, He pointed at the door and was about to curse. Someone at the side hurriedly said, "Sir, you can't do that. They have many people. We—" Before he could finish, Iron Tiger swallowed back the words he was about to say. After holding it in for a long time, he stomped on the floor and roared at the sky. Seeing this, the two bodyguards were so scared that they retreated to the side. "Keep a close eye on the giant whale at the docks. No matter what he wants to do, I'll make sure he can't do it. I'm going to fight him." Yes. 15 days later. "Sir, those bastards from the Red Sea gang are too much. They actually set up stalls at the front and back of the Elysium and are keeping a close eye on us brothers." Jin Peng looked at Zhou Fu and complained to him. "Did they make a move?" "No, they're just keeping an eye on us." Zhou Fu smiled. "It's fine as long as they didn't make a move. As long as it doesn't affect us making money, let them be. Let alone setting up a stall. Even if they want to set up a pot, it's fine." Jin Peng looked at Zhou Fu with some astonishment. In his impression, his boss didn't seem to be so easy to talk to. Now that the other party had come up to him, it was strange that he wasn't angry. "Right. How's the progress at the construction site?" Compared to the confrontation with the Red Sea gang, Zhou Fu still cared more about his own money. "Sir, the foundation has been laid and the main part has begun construction. It's estimated that the house will be ready in 3 months." 3 months? Zhou Fu looked at the sun outside the room. "After 3 months, the weather will turn cold, right? How are the decorations, carpets, murals, tables, and chairs ready?" Speaking of this, Jin Peng felt strange. According to Zhou Fu's request, these decorations were actually more expensive than building a house, and it wasn't just a little bit more expensive. "Sir, the quantity you want is too large." This subordinate found many craftsmen to make it together and even placed orders in other big cities. Only then did we gather the quantity. After it's finished, it will take at least 4 months. "Too slow." Zhou Fu sighed. "Sir, it's really not slow." Jin Peng mustered up his courage and replied. "Perhaps." Zhou Fu leaned back in the chair, looking a little tired. "Sir, this subordinate will take his leave. Go." Zhou Fu stretched out his hand and pointed at his chest. His chest suddenly bulged, and he opened his mouth and spat out a scorching breath, as if he was on fire. "Heart fire." A low and deep voice came from his mouth. His eyes were no longer as calm as before. Instead, they emitted a tyrannical look. This kind of feeling appeared after Zhou Fu completed the transformation of his body to the bone-forging realm. He was particularly prone to anger. Whenever he encountered something that didn't go his way, he would vent his anger, and his temper would be very violent. After realizing that something was wrong with himself, Zhou Fu began to consciously restrain himself. Even if he wanted to say a word, he would have to think twice. If he encountered something that didn't go his way, he would have to calm his mind before speaking. "I can't completely believe Zhao Wanshan's words. Right now, my spring wind and rain body nourishing art is already at the 5th level, but it doesn't seem to be of much use. Right now, I don't dare to upgrade any of my cultivation methods. It seems that it's time to look for a cultivation method that can calm the mind." Speaking of calming the mind, Zhou Fu couldn't help but think of a mysterious cultivation method, the Ice Heart secret art. Not to mention heart fire, it could even suppress demonic blood. But it was useless. He had recited the chants many times, but there was no effect. Calming the mind, this isn't easy. Compared to the killing intent of the tyrannical whale fist that Xing Feng and the others were worried about, the heart fire was the most difficult thing for Zhou Fu to deal with. Just as Zhou Fu was considering whether or not to go find Zhao Wanshan, there was the sound of footsteps outside. "My lord, this subordinate has an important matter to report." At the door, Chen Guhong's voice sounded out. "Come in." "Yes." Chen Guhong pushed open the door and entered. He turned around and closed the door behind him. He quickly walked to Zhou Fu's side and said, "My lord, we've already cut off most of the Jin family's trade routes, but they still have one last trade route that we can't take." Zhou Fu looked at Chen Guhong in surprise. He asked, "Isn't there Duan Cheng? Is there nothing he can do?" Chief Duan has encountered resistance. A 3rd-stage bone forging expert has injured 4 of his people. The Jin family is that strong? My lord, it's not the Jean family. It's a bandit faction on the Jean family's trade route called the Black Mountain Stronghold. Chapter 135. What is it called? At this moment, Zhou Fu stared at Chen Guhong blankly. His tone was full of surprise. He wondered if he had misheard or if Chen Guhong had misspoken. Chen Guhong was also very confused. He said again, "Sir, it's the Black Mountain Stronghold. Are you sure it's the Black Mountain Stronghold and not the Blackwind Stronghold?" Chen Guhong took out a few pieces of paper and handed them to Zhou Fu. "Sir, this is a letter from Chief Duan. The person who delivered the letter has already left." Zhou Fu took the letter and stared at the 3 words Black Mountain Stronghold. He felt an indescribable emotion in his heart. It was so King familiar. Was he going to kill them this time? Or was it just the same name? No, if it was just the same name, how could they injure his bone forging experts? Moreover, Duan Chung wanted to make a contribution now. He would definitely not go easy on this kind of thing. After some deduction, Zhou Fu could only temporarily believe that the other party was the Black Mountain Stronghold. He raised his head and looked at Chen Guhong. Reply to Duan Chung. Tell him not to clash with the Black Mountain Stronghold for the time being and to guard the other trade routes. Take the Huang family with you and snatch the Jean family's business for me. Wait until those injured bone forging experts recover, then come find me. Yes. This order made Chen Guhong's heart tremble. He thought to himself, we've only been peaceful for a few days, and now we're going to fight again. Sir, this is the latest batch of pills. 8 alchemists rushed to make it. There are a total of 300 pills. At this point, Chen Guhong's expression was a little hesitant. After a moment of silence, he said, Sir, according to the pill formula you provided, although the effect of these spirit concentration pills is significant, the consumption is several times more than before. Our funds are somewhat insufficient. No money? Hearing this news, Zhou Fu's heart skipped a beat. He had robbed everything from Huang Jia and the Chun family. How long had it been? And the Chun family actually said that they had no money. What happened? 300 pills, and you've used up your foundation? Zhou Fu's voice sank. My lord, it's not just the pills. The cost of training the guards is also very high. Although Huang Jia didn't say anything about it, I reckon that they're pretty much wiped out. Zhou Fu stared at Chen Guhong until the latter's forehead was dripping with sweat. Zhou Fu then said, Let Huang Feng do it. Yes. After receiving the order, Chen Guhong hurriedly responded, then turned around and left the room. Looking at the sunlight outside, he let out a long sigh of relief. Then, he walked out of the courtyard and said to the guard, Sir has orders to summon Huang Feng here. Yes. In less than an hour, Huang Feng's figure hurried in. He looked at Chen Guhong, who was drinking tea in the pavilion next to the courtyard door. He approached and said, Uncle Chun, you came so quickly. It's not that I'm early. Oh. Huang Feng looked at him in surprise and asked, What do you mean? What else could it mean? Chen Guhong explained as he walked toward Zhou Fu's room. It's just a matter of money. Huang Feng's expression froze, and he became embarrassed. He whispered, Uncle, you told Sir everything? I did. How could I not? At this time, the two of them had already walked to the center of the courtyard. If you don't say anything, something big will happen. Now that it hasn't happened yet, let's make the situation clear first. After a few sentences, the two of them had already walked to the door of the room. They pushed the door open and entered. The two of them saluted Zhou Fu and said, Greetings, my lord. Zhou Fu looked at Huang Feng and asked, How is Huang Jia's situation now? Huang Feng opened his mouth, and a bitter smile appeared on his face. My lord, Huang Jia's situation is worse than the Chun family's. Back then, many of their businesses were hit hard, and now they've recovered, but they haven't recovered all their funds. No need to say this. Just say if they're not making ends meet. This? Yes. Zhou Fu took a deep breath and asked, How long can they last? Huang Feng and Chen Guhong looked at each other, and Chen Guhong said, Less than 2 months. Huff, he exhaled all the gloominess in his heart in one breath, and felt his heart constantly beating against his chest. Zhou Fu comforted himself. Fortunately, there's still time. It can still be solved. He looked at Chen Guhong and asked, Stop using the spirit concentration pills for now. concentrate the resources to make another kind of spirit concentration pill first. 50 pills for each of the 3 stages of bone forging, and 20 pills for those who are injured. 40 for each of the 2 stages, 30 for the first stage. Yes. From Zhou Fu's words, the two of them felt like dark clouds were pressing down on them, making them feel a little suffocated. 15 days. After 15 days, come with me to Black Mountain Stockade to pay respects. Yes. Also, since you've been practicing for so long, bring those guards with you. How are those people now? Qin Guhong replied, My lord, recently, we've recruited some people. Huangjia and I have gathered 100 people from each family. The number of guards from our family is not included. 200 people. That's enough. Zhou Fu nodded and said, Go find Jin Peng and gather enough weapons and protective gear for these 200 people. In addition, each family will send 20 old guards to lead these people. Yes. Also, each family will leave 2 bone forging cultivators, and the Chun family will leave 4. The rest will go. Yes. Go and prepare. We'll take our leave. After the 2 of them left, Zhou Fu took 3 deep breaths. Not only did he not calm down, but his heart beat even faster. He stood up, and wisps of thin red mist drifted around him. He took a step forward, and his figure flashed. In the blink of an eye, he was at the door of the training room. He pushed open the door and entered. 15 days is enough. Ding. Scripture of the Wise King has successfully leveled up. Scripture of the Wise King. Level 4. Comprehension Enhancement Level 4. Physique Enhancement Level 4. Seal Enhancement Level 4. Vibration Enhancement Level 4. Defense Enhancement Level 4. Spirit Enhancement Level 4. Advanced Muscle Enhancement Level 1. Traces of a cold feeling spread from between his eyebrows, like a mountain stream, and flowed to every part of his body. At the same time, Zhou Fu suddenly had various insights into the use of various martial arts. He came to the center of the room and sat down cross-legged. It seems that this scripture of the Wise King is indeed stronger than the spring breeze and rain bodily nourishment technique in terms of concentration. It's just that I can't level it up too quickly, or else my body won't be able to take it. The physique that he was so proud of and valued the most had instead become the limitation of the scripture of the Wise King. This made it hard for him to accept. The golden inner strength in his body vibrated, and its quality was slowly changing. It became more solid and tenacious. As Zhou Fu slowly closed his eyes, the Buddha's shadow in his mind opened its eyes. It was a faint golden color, grand, lonely, and cold. There was not a trace of emotion, just like a golden Buddha statue in a temple. Whoosh, like a rolling tide, the faint golden inner strength was like a tide, all of it rushing to the center of his eyebrows. Facing this change, Zhou Fu only frowned, but did not panic. When all the inner strength in his body disappeared, the center of his eyebrows was swollen and itchy. Above the Buddha's shadow, traces of golden lines appeared. These were the inner strength that was rushing in. These golden lines circled around the Buddha's shadow and then rushed out with a whoosh, flowing into every part of Zhou Fu's body. It's a little heavy, but this breakthrough is quite interesting. Chapter 136. 15 days later, the Buddha image in Zhou Fu's sea of consciousness sat cross-legged in the air. Under the light blue shadow, the 12 flowing golden lines were very obvious. The Buddha image can actually condense inner strength. Not only does it remove the pressure on the meridians, but it also increases the speed of circulation by 50%. What is the origin of this technique? Without inner strength in his body, Zhou Fu did not feel weak at all. Instead, it made his qi and blood more active. While standing with the dragon embracing stance, the rising heat formed a semicircle, enveloping the surrounding 3 meters of space. In this space, the air began to distort. It was enough to see how shocking his qi and blood was. When Zhou Fu was practicing his stance, he never tried to avoid others. Therefore, in the opposite pavilion, Jin Peng, Huang Feng, Qin Guhong, and 12 other third-stage bone forging experts were all looking over. Heavens, our Lord Shi and Blood are a bit scary. A third-stage bone forging expert was very shocked. A bit scary? If I remember correctly, our Lord Cultivation is at the first stage of bone forging. Brothers sitting here, which one of you has the confidence to take a punch from our Lord? A person who didn't mind watching the show laughed wickedly. The surroundings were silent for a moment. Although exuberant Chi and Blood did not represent power, but exuberant to this degree, everyone knew that the power under this kind of Chi and Blood must be very terrifying. Take a punch from our Lord now? Ha! I have the most experience in this kind of thing. When our Lord was still training his strength, he could injure me with one punch. An older third-stage bone forging expert from the Chun family said. The surrounding people all looked over. He continued, the second punch, my arms ruptured, the Chi and Blood in my body shook, and my battle strength immediately decreased by more than 50%. After saying this, he shook his head with a sigh. After a moment of silence, someone asked, what about the third punch? The third punch? If the third punch landed, you would be talking to Ghost right now. The surroundings were silent for a moment, and then they all laughed in low voices. But in everyone's heart, they were even more shocked. How much strength do you think our Lord has now? No one could answer this question, unless, how much strength? I'm not sure either. Hearing the familiar voice, the group of people was shocked. They all stood up and saluted in the direction of the voice. Greetings, Mr. Zhou. Zhou Fu handed the handkerchief used to wipe his sweat to Yu Zhu and walked in. Are you all ready? Jin Peng, Huang Feng, and Chun Guhong said in unison, Sir, we are ready. Sir, 200 new guards, led by 60 old guards, are already waiting for orders at the gathering point outside the city. Jin Peng stepped forward and said, the people here are all experts of the third stage of bone forging. In addition, there are 4 third-level bone forging cultivators at the gathering point. At this moment, Zhou Fu's blood was boiling. These people were his own team. No matter how she came to be, she was now one of his people. Since you're ready, let's go. Yes. With an order, more than 10 carriages from Huangjia, Chun family, and Elysium set off towards the outside of the city. Red Sea Gang's base. A spy from the Red Sea Gang reported to Iron Tiger, Sir, Elysium has sent a large number of people to the outside of the city. Iron Tiger was stunned for a moment, then suddenly became energetic. Where are they going? What are they doing? I don't know, but I've already sent some brothers to follow them. Good. Iron Tiger slapped the armrest of his chair. Follow closely. No matter what he does, I will not let him succeed. After saying that, he shouted outside, Men! The guards outside hurried in. Gather the men and follow me out of the city. Yes. Sir, this is Mount Wangning. It means that you can see Ning and city from here. Jin Peng introduced it to Zhou Fu. The Black Mountain stronghold is on Mount Wangning. Zhou Fu looked at the forest and ordered, Enter. Yes, enter the mountain. With an order, a team of nearly 300 people walked into Mount Wangning. They were all wearing armor and holding swords. Some of them even carried shields. Be careful of traps. Spread out the scouts and send the signal at any time. Orders were spread out among the crowd. At this moment, Zhou Fu suddenly felt like he was playing a real-time strategy game. This made his blood boil. As the team went deeper, they discovered a large number of traps. Not all of these teams were guards, but there were also some old hunters in the area. These people were very experienced in the mountains and forests, so they were invited by Jin Peng and the others with a large sum of money. Of course, there were also those who were unwilling to come, but those people were now in the prison of the gathering point. The team found a small stream and walked along it. They walked for more than an hour. Duan Cheng came to Zhou Fu's side and said, Sir, we're almost there. Okay, tell the brothers to be alert and don't fall into the enemy's trap. Before Zhou Fu's voice fell, the sound of sharp weapons cutting through the air rang out in the forest. There's an ambush. Defense, defense. The accompanying bone forging experts recognized the source of the sound and shouted, Front left. Shields up. Shields up. Shields up. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. More than 10 shields were raised. Bang, bang, bang. Like rain hitting banana leaves, a series of muffled sounds rang out. Zhou Fu looked at the shadows in the depths of the forest and shouted, "Don't worry about them. Continue forward." "Yes, continue forward. All bone forging realm cultivators, be on guard." Zhou Fu ordered again. "Yes." Several figures rushed out of the crowd and into the forest. Bang, bang, bang. A series of strikes rang out and quickly fell. "Safe. It's safe here too." Zhou Fu shouted, "Don't chase. Stay alert." "Yes." The group continued forward. After walking for 20 minutes, a large open space appeared in front of them. There was also a large wooden gate and high wooden walls surrounding it. This was the Black Mountain stronghold. "Sir, we've arrived." Zhou Fu nodded and ordered, "Begin the preparations." "Yes." Duan Cheng replied and ordered to the side, "Prepare the fire oil and fire arrows." Dozens of guards with bows on their backs unloaded their bags and opened them, revealing the items inside. There was a box containing specially made arrows with flammable materials wrapped around them. There was also a wooden jar containing fire oil. The amount was small, but it was enough to fire 20 arrows. These people added up to nearly 600 fire arrows. It was enough to set the Black Mountain stronghold on fire. Following the actions of Zhou Fu and the others, a voice came from the stronghold's lookout tower. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" "Giant whale Zhou Fu is here to pay a visit." The deep voice was like a wave that rushed into the Black Mountain stronghold. "A master from a giant whale? My Black Mountain stronghold and the giant whale have never had any dealings." "Sir, you brought so many people here today. You're wearing armor, holding swords, shields, and even fire arrows. Those who don't know would think that you're here to attack the stronghold. You don't look like you're here to pay a visit." Zhou Fu laughed. "I'm a coward by nature. Without these things, I can't be at ease. As long as I don't care about my face, no one can do anything to me." Chapter 137. The people of the Black Mountain stronghold never would have thought that the person on the other side would respond in such a way. For a moment, they forgot how to respond. Zhou Fu gestured to the bone-forging experts beside him. Suddenly, a powerful aura sword and various colored mists appeared, revolving around their respective masters. This scene gave the people of the Black Mountain stronghold a fright. "You? What do you want to do?" Zhou Fu said, "Honored guests have come, but you're not opening the door. What's the reason for this?" At the same time, he ordered in a low voice, "For third-stage bone-forging cultivators, come with me. The rest of you wait outside. If you receive the signal, burn this Black Mountain stronghold." "Yes." Creak, the wooden gate of the Black Mountain stronghold made a sound as it turned. The stronghold gate opened wide, and a group of people walked out. The leader was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 30s or 40s. He had a square face, dark skin, and a pair of cold eyes. "Honored guests? Now that the door is open, please come in." Crash. The bandits walked out of the stronghold and lined up on both sides of the door. They drew their long swords and placed them in front of them. "Ha!" Zhou Fu smiled and shook his head as he walked over. Behind him, there were 4 bone-forging masters with grave and stern expressions. Their bodies were surrounded by a thick mist of various colors as they followed Zhou Fu into the stronghold. The big man who came out to greet them had an inexplicable look in his eyes. He looked at the hundreds of people who stood motionless, then turned to Zhou Fu and asked, "Aren't they going in?" Zhou Fu said, "It's my first time visiting, so it's inconvenient for so many people to enter." "Up to you." When Zhou Fu walked to the entrance of the stronghold, from the entrance of the stronghold, the ground was completely shattered. Sharp blades made of fine iron protruded from the ground, each one about 30 centimeters long. Looking at Zhou Fu's strange gaze and the 4 bone-forging experts behind him, the big man said, "The mechanism inside the gate has not been maintained for a long time and was accidentally triggered." After he finished speaking, he stood there with his arms crossed in front of his chest. He had a faint smile on his face as he waited to see how Zhou Fu would deal with this matter. "I can understand. After all, this village is lacking in resources and talents." Zhou Fu sighed and continued to move forward. Under everyone's gaze, He lifted his right foot and stomped down on the sharp blade. Creak, the sharp blade bent bit by bit under Zhou Fu's feet, and then it was stomped into a pile of scrap metal. Everyone who was watching was shocked. Whether it was the people of the Black Mountain stronghold or those who had come with Zhou Fu, they all looked in shock at what was happening at the gate of the stronghold. It was as if Zhou Fu was walking on flat ground. He lifted his foot and stepped down, then lifted his foot and stepped down again. Not only did they leave behind footprints, but they also left behind piles of scrap metal. The four accompanying bone-forging masters looked at the two clear tracks and hurriedly followed. When Zhou Fu walked out of the trap, the remaining sharp blades suddenly retracted. The ground at the gate of the stronghold was also restored to its original state. At this time, Zhou Fu stopped and turned around. He looked at the shocked big man and said, "Since I am a guest, I naturally have to help when I see that the host is in trouble. Otherwise, I would feel bad for my kindness." Then, under the other party's puzzled gaze, he lifted his right foot and stomped down fiercely. Boom! The turbulent inner strength was like a surging river, causing layers of ripples to appear on the ground. In an instant, the area that had just been covered by the mechanism was wrapped in it. Boom, boom, boom. Dust flew up, and the sharp blades that had retracted were all shaken out. It was like the ground had been plowed, and everything inside had been turned over. It was all over the place. "You?" The big man looked at Zhou Fu in horror. This person had actually broken the mechanism with a single kick. This was even more shocking than the scrap metal that had been kicked out earlier. You actually dare." Zhou Fu interrupted the other party's incoherent words and said, "Hurry up and lead the way. You good." Although the big man's tone was angry, it couldn't hide his horror and fear. Perhaps it was the shock of Zhou Fu's kick that made the Black Mountain stronghold put away their thoughts. The group of people didn't encounter anything for the rest of the journey. In fact, they didn't even see many people. Inside is the main hall. Please help yourself. After the big man finished speaking, he turned and left. Looking at the tall house in front of him, Zhou Fu walked up the stairs, through the open door, and into the main hall. The main hall was very spacious and brightly lit, even though it was daytime outside. In the direction of the main hall, there was a flat hall, followed by a 3-story flight of stairs. Except for the top floor, there were several chairs on each floor. Seeing Zhou Fu enter, dozens of gazes fell on him. "You are the giant whales, Zhou Fu? What business do you have with my Black Mountain stronghold?" Zhou Fu smiled faintly and said, "Is this how the Black Mountain stronghold treats its guests? Guests are here, but there's no place to sit? Presumptuous." An angry shout sounded. "Guests who come to our door are not only good guests, but also bad guests." "Bad guests?" Zhou Fu looked at the figure on the main seat with a playful expression. "Bad guests are still guests. Can't you treat them?" "Treat? We only treat bad guests like this." A figure jumped out from the crowd, sitting in the main hall. After a few dodges, he jumped up and used the pillars in the main hall to roll, quickly arriving above Zhou Fu. "Die!" The figure roared, and a cold light pierced toward Zhou Fu. Ding-dang! With a crisp sound, the cold light was blocked by a layer of golden armor. This armor was lifelike, with golden light flowing around it. It looked very imposing. Pong! The cold light suddenly shook, revealing a clear sword blade. Kachel-pong! Cracks appeared on the blade, and then it suddenly exploded. Under the illumination of the fire, Zhou Fu's body was sparkling. It was very beautiful. "You." The figure also revealed his face. It was a young man in his 20s. At this moment, the young man looked at Zhou Fu in horror. His arm that was holding the sword kept trembling, and a stream of blood flowed from his hand, through the sword hilt, and dripped to the ground. "Enough, go back," the figure on the main seat said. The young man hurriedly retreated. "Come, take the seat of honor." 2 young men carried a big chair out and placed it opposite the stairs in the main hall. Zhou Fu did not mind, and said to the 4 people behind him, "You guys stand at the door and be careful." "Yes." After giving the order, Zhou Fu walked straight to the chair and sat down. At this moment, the figure on the main seat could be seen clearly. This person had a handsome face, and his body was neither fat nor thin. Looking at his age, he was about 30 years old. I wonder if Zhou That person looked at Zhou Fu's young appearance and did not know how to address him. Zhou Fu said, I'm the foreign affairs emissary of the giant whale. You can call me Zhou Fuwei. Ha! That person laughed. Zhou Fuwei is really young and promising. At such a young age, you have already achieved so much. You are really a hero. Zhou Fu also laughed, but his smile was not reserved. Instead, it had a meaning that it should be like this. He looked at the other person and asked, How should I address you, Chief? That person seemed very surprised. You don't even know me, and you came to visit? It's because I'm not familiar with you that I came. Ha ha, interesting. That person looked up to the sky and laughed. My surname is Jiang. You can call me Chief Jiang. Chapter 138. After Master Jiang finished speaking, he looked at Zhou Fu with a friendly smile and asked, Zhou Fuwei, if I remember correctly, your giant whale and my Black Mountain stockade have never had any conflicts, right? Hearing the true meaning of his words, Zhou Fu said, No grudges in the past, no enmity in the present. No grudges in the past, no enmity in the present. Master Zhang's finger flicked on the armrest. Since that's the case, I wonder why Zhou Fuwei has brought so many people to my Black Mountain stockade today. Although there is no enmity between us, there is a small matter that has accidentally involved the Black Mountain stockade. Today, I am here for this matter. Oh, Master Zhang's eyes flashed. What matter? Haha. Why is Master Zhang pretending to be confused? 4 of my third stage bone forging experts have been injured. If you don't know about this matter, then it is somewhat unreasonable. So it's about this matter. Master Jiang nodded, admitting that it was true. Some time ago, several third-stage bone forging experts came to my Black Mountain Stockade's territory. They seem to have set their eyes on the Jean family's caravan, and the Jean family paid our Black Mountain Stockade. It is reasonable that our Black Mountain Stockade cannot sit by and do nothing. Zhou Fuwei, what do you think? Zhou Fu nodded. Master Jiang is right. If we take someone's money, we have to solve their problems. This matter is reasonable no matter where you put it. Ha ha! If we take someone's money, we have to solve their problems. Zhou Fuwei said it well. Isn't this the business of my Black Mountain Stockade? Ah. Master Jiang smiled and looked at the people around him. Yes. Ha ha. Boss is right. For a moment, the hall was extremely lively. 5 or 6 minutes later, these people quieted down. Master Jiang looked at Zhou Fu and said, Zhou Fuwei, you said it yourself. If we take someone's money, we have to solve their problems. Now, do you have any questions? Zhou Fu looked at him and shook his head. No questions, but I have a suggestion. Oh, tell me about it. How much did the Jean clan give to the Black Mountain village? I'll pay 20% more. Master Jiang's eyes lit up and the corners of his mouth curled up as he said, Oh, Zhou Fuwei is really generous, but this money can't be taken so easily, right? It's not difficult, Zhou Fu said, as long as the Black Mountain village no longer protects the Jean family's caravan. Ha ha, I was wondering what was going on. I see. Chief Jiang laughed out loud again. He leaned against the black bearskin on his back and grinned at Zhou Fu. His ferocious aura erupted as he said, In the territory of my Black Mountain stronghold, as long as you pay, my Black Mountain stronghold will protect you. This is the foundation of my Black Mountain stronghold. Now, Zhou Fuwei wants to cut off the roots of my Black Mountain gang with just a little bit of money. Do you think that's possible? The atmosphere in the hall became tense. At this moment, a man from a Black Mountain stronghold ran in from outside the hall. He walked to Chief Jiang's side and whispered a few words before turning around and leaving. Chief Jiang looked at Zhou Fu and said, Forget about Zhou Fuwei's suggestion, but seeing that you are a guest from afar, I'll tell you a piece of news. Oh, I'm all ears. Hee. There's another group of people outside. Their equipment isn't any worse than Zhou Fuwei's men. After he finished speaking, the people in the hall were stunned. These people didn't expect that the Black Mountain stronghold would be so lively today. Hearing this news, Zhou Fu's heart sank. He roughly knew who the people who came were. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. Talk. If he didn't have some capital, how could he talk about things? What was capital? To put it bluntly, it was strength. It could be money. Zhou Fu didn't have this at the moment. However, he had the strength, which was the blade in his hand. "It's time to show off my blade," Zhou Fu said in his heart. He stood up and thanked him. "Thank you for the news, Chief Jiang. Since Chief Jiang has helped me, I'll also invite Chief Jiang to watch a show." "Watch a show?" Chief Jiang smiled strangely. "What show? Where is it?" When he heard "watch a show," he instantly understood the other party's deeper meaning. He just wanted to show off his blade and then talk about the Jin family. Regarding this matter, he naturally wouldn't resist. After all, everyone wanted to cooperate with people with strength. As for the Jin family, without him, there would still be the Liu family, the Zhao family, and so on. However, there wouldn't be many people with strength. The entrance of the stronghold is fine. After Zhou Fu finished speaking, he stood up and walked out. When he passed by the entrance of the hall, the 4 bone-tempering realm cultivators who came with him followed closely. The group of people arrived at the entrance of the Black Mountain stronghold. At this time, Duan Cheng and the others were already busy. Not only did the Black Mountain stronghold discover those people, but the spies sent by Duan Cheng also discovered them. Seeing Zhou Fu come over, Duan Cheng hurried over. "Sir, our spies found a group of suspicious people in the forest. They seem to be around 100 people, wearing leather armor and holding blades. They're rushing over here," Zhou Fu said. "Just now, when we were discussing matters with the Black Mountain stronghold people, they felt that we didn't have enough capital, so I wanted to show them our capital." When he said the word capital, Zhou Fu especially emphasized his tone. Duan Qing instantly understood and replied, "Sir, don't worry. I'll definitely let these bandits see our methods." "Done. 10 spirit concentration pills per person." When these words came out, the surroundings suddenly became quiet. Even the eyes of the bone-tempering realm cultivators lit up. One had to know that there were more than 260 people here. According to Zhou Fu's reward method, that was close to 3,000 spirit concentration pills. What a big deal. At this time, the people in the forest walked out of the forest and came to the open space. Originally, these people didn't want to walk out of the forest, but seeing Zhou Fu and the others fire arrows, they had no choice but to walk out. "Sir," seeing that the other party didn't attack immediately, Duan Cheng turned to look at Zhou Fu. Zhou Fu said, "I'll say it again. I have spirit concentration pills. It depends on how you take them." A ferocious glint appeared in Duan Cheng's eyes. He nodded fiercely and drew his long blade. "Front row, raise your shields. Back row, archers, get ready. 2 normal arrows, fire." A series of teeth-numbing sounds rang out. "Not good. Retreat to the forest. Retreat." There were also calm people who shouted, "Retreat means death. Charge! Charge!" This was in front of the Black Mountain stronghold. It was a large open space, about 200 meters away from the forest. Although it wasn't far, how could a person outrun the arrows? Not everyone was a bone-tempering realm cultivator. "Fire!" Duan Cheng roared. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. With a series of hair-raising vibrations of bowstrings, sharp blades pierced through the air. "Draw your blade. Protect yourself." An expert on the opposite side roared at the chaotic crowd. At the same time, the long blade in his hand slashed out. The sharp blade tore through the air, cutting several arrows in half. Another expert leaped into the air. A pair of palms wrapped in yellow mist struck out continuously. Waves of palm wind blew away the arrows in front of him. Is this still a bloody martial arts fight? A sigh sounded above the stronghold gate. Chapter 139. Although there were experts blocking the enemy, there were too many ordinary people. As the arrows fell, more than 20 people were nailed to the ground. Screams filled the air. "Shoot again." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. This time, the enemy was prepared. The crowd immediately dispersed. Only a dozen people who were slow were hit by the arrows. After 2 rounds of arrows, the enemy had lost nearly half of their men. If it weren't for the 4-bone forging experts, they would have already collapsed. At this time, Duan Qing shouted, "Put away your bows. Shield warriors, go forward." 40 people with round shields in their hands and sabers in their right hand formed a small square formation and pressed forward. Military formation. This is a F** King military formation. Zhou Fu looked at Duan Cheng strangely. He suddenly remembered that he wasn't familiar with this person whom he appointed as the leader. Sir, this subordinate's ancestors served in the military, so they passed down some things. Duan Cheng seemed to know that he had violated a taboo, so he nervously explained to Zhou Fu. Zhou Fu didn't care about this. It was only after Duan Cheng explained that he realized that he had stirred up trouble again. Immediately, Zhou Fu's eyes turned cold. He ordered, "Since that's the case, keep them here." Yes. At the same time, Zhou Fu ordered the surrounding bone-forging experts. Bone-forging experts, keep an eye on the enemy. Since they've made a move, don't let anyone go. Yes. More than a dozen people rushed forward. At this time, Duan Cheng rushed to the front of the formation and slashed with his saber. He didn't use the saber technique that Zhou Fu had taught him, or rather, it didn't seem like an ordinary saber technique in the pugilistic world. His saber technique was simple and fierce. His killing intent surged as he put his life on the line. Kill. Kill. First, it was the arrows that killed the enemy. Then, it was the numbers that crushed the enemy. Almost at the same time as the two sides collided, the opposing human nine collapsed. At this time, the people on the Black Mountain Stronghold's gate tower couldn't remain calm. These people were the leaders of the Black Mountain Stronghold. They stared at the battle below, or rather, a one-sided massacre. Their eyes flashed. That's right, this is a military formation. A simple military formation. That's right. The saber technique used by the leader is also from the military. The Whale Gang really is guts. They actually dare to train private soldiers? Shut up. Bandits Jiang shouted in a low voice. Just watch. A man standing at the side whispered, "Bro, boss, are we just going to watch?" This small gang had actually brought out a military formation. What were they trying to do? Should we? Don't do anything, just watch. I don't care what you think. Whether you can accept it or not, all of you better stay put. Then he turned to look at the person who had spoken and said, "Although the giant whale is nothing much, it has the Xing family behind it. Let alone a military formation. Even if they take out a crossbow, we can only watch." The surrounding people were silent as they looked at the battle that had already ended. "Ah, son of the giant whale, if you want to kill me, I won't let you have it easy either." The expert with the saber was drenched in blood as he dashed left and right in the crowd. However, he was surrounded by people at the second level of the bone-forging realm who blocked him completely. Kill. Numerous sharp saber auras he shot out, forcing the surrounding bone-forging realm experts to retreat. He jumped out of the encirclement. However, he did not turn around and escape. Instead, he rushed toward Zhou Fu. "You are the leader of these people, right? Follow me to hell." Kill. The saber slashed down. Streaks of bright, white mist surged. Clang. A metallic sound rang out. "No, impossible." Zhou Fu stretched out his hand and grabbed the saber. His face was expressionless, and he even looked a little impatient. He looked at the third level of the bone-forging realm expert and said, "Just this." Crack. Bang. He exerted force with his arm and broke the saber. Then, Zhou Fu's right hand stabbed forward. Like a hot knife cutting through butter, it instantly tore through the opponent's protective inner strength. The remaining half of the saber in Zhou Fu's hand pierced through the opponent's heart. Trash. With a flick of his right hand, he threw the lifeless corpse in front of the Black Mountain stockade. Bang. A light cloud of dust rose. "I surrender. I surrender." The remaining few people immediately knelt down and lay on the ground, begging for their lives. Duan Cheng and the others put away their sabers and looked at Zhou Fu. Zhou Fu thought for a moment, then waved his hand and ordered, "Take them away. We are short of manual labor now. These people are all martial artists and can be used." "Yes, sir." Duan Cheng selected 10 people and let them take these people down the mountain. After the matter here was settled, Zhou Fu looked at the Black Mountain stockade. He took 2 steps forward and said to Stockade Master Jiang, who was walking out of the stockade, "We wasted some time and let Stockade Master Jiang see the results." Stockade Master Jiang and the others walked to the corpse. One of them squatted down and looked at it. He stood up and whispered a few words to Stockade Master Jiang, then retreated. Seeing Zhou Fu walk closer, Stockade Master Jiang smiled and said, Zhou Fei is really a young hero. There was a misunderstanding just now. Please come in. I have already ordered the servants to prepare food and wine. Zhou Fei, please don't refuse. At the same time, he looked at the battlefield not far away and said, Zhou Fei doesn't need to worry about those things. My brothers from a Black Mountain Stockade will take care of it. Seeing Stockade Master Jiang suddenly become enthusiastic, Zhou Fu smiled without any surprise. His palm strike, just now, not only pierced the broken saber into the body of the dead bone tempering cultivator, but also used a fierce inner strength to shatter the opponent's sternum and ribs. One had to know that the corpse on the ground was a bone-tempering third-stage cultivator. Its bones were like fine iron. After the Black Mountain Stockade's inspection, the bones were not broken, but shattered. This was even more shocking than stomping a discus out of the ground. Ha ha ha. Since Stockade Master Jiang has spoken, of course I won't refuse. Stockade Master Jiang, please. Zhou Fei, please. The group of people with a cheerful atmosphere walked back into the Black Mountain Stockade. In the Black Mountain Stockade's hall, table after table of food and wine were placed. Every table was filled with people. They were shouting and yelling happily. It was very lively. Ha ha ha. To be able to see a young hero like Zhou Fei today is my Black Mountain Stockade's fortune. Come, come, come. Everyone, let's toast to Zhou Fei. To Zhou Fei. Zhou Fu also raised his cup and happily said, Thank you, brothers. Cheers. Cheers. After a few glasses, everyone's faces were rosy. The distance between people had also been reduced by a lot in an invisible way. Stockade Master Jiang said, Brother Zhou, I feel like old friends with you at first sight. Since the Jin family offended you, they offended our Black Mountain Stockade. Don't worry, we will not let them have an easy time. Brother, Stockade Master Jiang patted Zhou Fu's hand and said, You don't need to do anything for this matter. Brother will definitely satisfy you. Don't worry. Chapter 140. The sun was leaning to the west, and waves of cold air were blown by the mountain wind, causing people to immediately feel a sense of coolness. At the entrance of the Black Mountain Stronghold, Jiang Yuan, also known as the chief of the Black Mountain Stronghold, he pulled Zhou Fu's arm, looking as if he couldn't bear to part with him. Brother Zhou, I really regret not meeting you earlier. I regret not meeting you earlier. He gently patted Zhou Fu's arm and continued to sigh. It's getting late, so I won't keep you any longer. However, don't worry, I will definitely take care of that blind Jin family. To dare to provoke my brother, Jiang Yuan, is to go against my Black Mountain Stronghold, and at most 3 days, I will definitely satisfy you. Just wait for the news. Zhou Fu also chuckled, if that's the case. Thank you, brother. Ha ha, what are you thanking me for? We're all brothers. As Jiang Yuan said this, he even patted his chest, as if he was saying, Don't worry about me. All right, all right. Zhou Fu turned to look at his men and said, Then I'll be leaving first. In. Jiang Yuan nodded, looking as if he had drunk too much. Be careful on the road. Come and drink when you have time. After the two of them exchanged a few more words, Zhou Fu brought his men and left the Black Mountain Stronghold. In the Wangning Mountain, where the Black Mountain Stronghold was located, not far from Ning'an City, there was a medium-sized farmhouse. At the entrance of the courtyard, there was a small tea stall on the main road. This tea stall was originally run by a middle-aged couple, but was later bought by Duan Cheng and used as a temporary stronghold. It was also convenient to observe the Black Mountain Stronghold. When Zhou Fu and the others arrived at the tea stall, the people inside hurriedly greeted them. After the herbal tea and pastries were placed on the table, Zhou Fu said to Duan Cheng and the others, Let your brothers return to the gathering point and rest. We will return to Ning'an City in 2 hours. Yes, sir. After Duan Cheng received the order, he gave a few instructions to the person beside him, and that person left with his team. Duan Cheng stayed behind to accompany Zhou Fu. After everyone rested for more than 20 minutes, several carriages arrived at the tea stall. 2 people came down from the middle carriage. They were Huang Feng and Chen Guhong. They walked into the tea stall and first bowed to Zhou Fu. Seeing that Zhou Fu didn't want to talk, they went to Jin Peng and Duan Cheng's table and sat down. Manager Jean, how is it going? Huang Feng asked first. Jean Peng said, with our lord taking action, the matter will definitely be settled. Huang Feng and Chen Guhong were not surprised by this result. Then, sir, if you don't have one, when will we deal with the Jean family's caravan? We don't need to do anything, Jean Peng said with a smile. Oh, what do you mean? Chen Guhong asked. That Black Mountain Stronghold's chief, Jiang Yuan, was stunned by our lord's strength, so he called us brothers and tried to build a relationship with him. Then, he patted his chest and said that he would handle this matter. Within 3 days, he would definitely satisfy our lord. After saying that, Jean Peng looked at the two of them proudly. However, his pride didn't last long before it was dispelled by Chen Guhong and Huang Feng's expressions. I say, what's wrong with the two of you? The matter has already been settled. Why do you look like you've lost money? Lost money? Huang Feng grinned. This time, not only did we lose money, others even took away our dishes with soup and meat. Could it be that we can't laugh? Jean Peng was a little confused. He asked, what do you mean by that? Huang Feng let out a strange laugh and shook his head. He did not explain and began to observe the teacup in his hand. Let me say it. Chen Guhong sighed. If we were to make a move, the Jean family's things would be ours, and the people would also be ours. Even a small part of Mount Wangning would be ours. This, Chen Guhong continued. Now that this matter has been snatched away by the Black Mountain Stronghold, not only have we lost a pile of money, it's even difficult to insert nails into Mount Wangning now. What Chen Guhong said was exactly what Zhou Fu was thinking. He had originally wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and settle the matter of the Jean family, casually placing his own people in Mount Wangning. Forget it, Zhou Fu said. Let's forget about this for now. You guys have to keep an eye on the Jean family. Since the Black Mountain Stronghold has said so, regardless of whether they are sincere or not, the Jean family will not have an easy time in the near future. Whether or not you can seize this opportunity depends on you guys. Chen Guhong and Huang Feng hurriedly said, we understand. At this time, a short figure walked over from the main road. For some reason, Zhou Fu looked at this figure in a daze, as if he was in a daze. The figure walked closer. It was a young man who looked to be about 12 or 13 years old. He was very handsome and wore moon-white clothes that looked like the wings of a cicada. They were as light as gauze and not very translucent. At a glance, one could tell that these clothes were not made of ordinary material. It gave people a feeling that they were very expensive. What was even more strange was the temperament of this young man. He stood out from the crowd, but did not appear to be abrupt. The young man walked to the tea stall and looked around. Then, he walked to Zhou Fu's table and sat down. This time, the other people in the tea stall were shocked, and sweat began to slowly appear on their foreheads. Why didn't you pour me tea? The young man blinked his big eyes. His tone was very calm, as if he was saying something very normal, as if he was saying, I'm hungry. Zhou Fu looked at the young man. The two of them looked at each other for a few seconds. He took out a teacup, poured some herbal tea, and placed the teacup in front of the young man. This scene made the surrounding people feel as if they had seen a ghost. The young man picked up the teacup and took a sip. He frowned, as if he was not very interested in the taste. However, he was too thirsty. He could only close his eyes and drink it in one gulp. Then, he pushed the cup back to Zhou Fu. Zhou Fu also frowned. He did not want to be a nanny, but he still poured a cup for the young man and pushed it back again. Where's your family? The young man stared at the cup, his face full of hesitation. He would be thirsty if he did not drink it. Drink it. The taste of this thing was really not that good. Hearing Zhou Fu's question, the young man did not raise his head. He replied, I thought that old man was too annoying, so I left him alone. But it's okay. He will find me in a while. Right? The young man raised his head and looked at Zhou Fu. He asked, why don't you drink the snow plum wine, but drink this thing instead? It's disgusting. Not only Zhou Fu, but everyone in the tea stall also felt a sense of suffocation in their chest. One must know that before this tea stall was bought by Duan Cheng, the tea inside was even more unbearable. This was after seeing that Zhou Fu was here and specially changed the recipe. Snow plum wine. Zhou Fu shook his head. I've never heard of it. However, this herbal tea is indeed what we usually drink. It's good for cooling down the heat. As he spoke, he took a sip from the cup. Okay, but the snow plum wine is still better, the young man repeated. Then he mustered up his courage and took a sip. He swallowed it with difficulty. Zhou Fu shook his head and did not say anything. At this time, he had rested enough. It was time to go back. Just as Zhou Fu was about to get up, the young man said, "Right, Shuizhu said that I can't casually take other people's things. I drank your tea. I want to give you something, right?" Chapter 141. Zhou Fu smiled and shook his head. "It's just a cup of tea. There's no need." "It's 2 cups." The young man corrected him with a serious face. "Okay, it's 2 cups. It's okay. You can drink your tea here and wait for your family. I'm leaving now." Zhou Fu's words troubled the young man. He shook his head. "No, Shuizhu has never lied to me. What she said makes sense." Suddenly, the young man thought of something. He stared at Zhou Fu and smiled. He said, "You're also a cultivator, right? You're the same as me. How about this? How about I teach you martial arts?" Following the young man's words, the tea stall fell silent for a moment. Then there were sounds of stifled laughter. One could imagine that if Zhou Fu wasn't here at this moment, they would definitely be laughing wildly. Zhou Fu was also stunned by the young man's words. Then he smiled. "There's really no need. It's best not to teach others martial arts." At this moment, he could tell that the young man in front of him was definitely a young master from some family. He guessed that it was similar to the Xing family. He grew up in a greenhouse and was surrounded by maids and servants. Therefore, he had a strange personality. Yes, yes, the young man nodded. "Shuizhu said something similar to you. Do you know each other?" "We don't know each other," Zhou Fu said. "But Shuizhu is right. The family's martial arts cannot be taught to outsiders. Otherwise, there will be big trouble." "No," the young man shook his head. "It's not a family's martial arts. It's a family's martial arts. You can't practice the family's martial arts. There's really no need." Zhou Fu refused again. He looked at the sky and said to the young man, "It's getting late. I have to go home. If fate allows, you could treat me to some snow plum wine when we meet again." The young man looked serious and nodded. "Okay, but I really do know martial arts. It's very powerful. I believe you." Zhou Fu smiled and said goodbye. When the youth saw that Zhou Fu was really going to leave, he became anxious. With a flash of his body, he instantly appeared in front of Zhou Fu and said, "I'm really amazing. I will treat you to the snow plum brew, but I will also give you something for these 2 cups of water." Zhou Fu stopped in his tracks. Not only him, but the people in the tea stall also widened their eyes. No one could see clearly how the young man appeared in front of Zhou Fu. After the young man finished speaking, he looked at the silent Zhou Fu and said, "You don't believe me. How about this? Your tea doesn't taste good, so I'll give you a normal one. That way, you won't be able to take advantage of me." This cultivation method is called firefly. After saying that, as if afraid that Zhou Fu wouldn't believe him, the young man reached out and grabbed Zhou Fu's arm. Zhou Fu frowned. Ever since the young man appeared in front of him, he had been on guard against him. Now that he saw the young man make a move, the inner strength in his body shook violently. A bright yellow armor covered his body. However, something strange happened. The young man's hand landed on the armor. Suddenly, a ball of light flashed at the intersection. "Kacha!" The sound of glass shattering sounded. The bright armor on Zhou Fu's body started to crack from the point of the young man's hand. Crash! The 5th level of the Yellow Dragon treasure technique was broken. The armor that couldn't be broken by the 3rd level of the Bone Forging realm, or even the 1st level of Blood Changing realm, was broken by a young man in his teens. Zhou Fu's eyes widened abruptly. A brassy color appeared on his skin, and beneath it, streams of pale golden inner strength flowed continuously. Bronze armor technique. Ha! The young man grabbed Zhou Fu's arm. A strange fluctuation spread out from the point of contact. The bronze armor technique and the bright king scripture were all ineffective. Zhou Fu panicked. He had met a ghost. The young man grabbed Zhou Fu's arm and said with a smile, "How about this? This is firefly." The inner strength flashes like fireflies in the mountains. When gathered, it's like the bright moon in the sky. When scattered, it's like the starlight in the sky. Isn't it nice? At this moment, the young man let go of Zhou Fu's arm. He raised his hand, and a ball of light appeared in his hand. Then it suddenly scattered. Specks of light flashed around his body and then gradually disappeared. Of the 3 techniques you just used, the 2 that were like clothes felt very weak, but they also felt very familiar to me. I can't remember. The other one felt very ordinary, but you don't seem to know how to use it. Don't you have a teacher to teach you? Zhou Fu let the young man do whatever he wanted. He didn't move. It wasn't that he didn't want to resist, but from the young man's movements and martial arts moves, he didn't seem to be a match for him. Moreover, the young man didn't seem to be very smart, but he wasn't dangerous either. Hearing the young man's evaluation of his martial arts, it was impossible to say that he wasn't angry. Zhou Fu didn't avoid the young man's question. No one taught me martial arts. I don't have a teacher either. Really? The young man's eyes suddenly lit up. There's nothing to lie about this. All right, no teacher. So pitiful. The young man nodded seriously. Seeing this, Zhou Fu's heart twitched. If it wasn't for this young man's strange behavior, he really wanted to hang this brat up and give him a good beating. The young man asked, "How about Firefly? Do you want to learn it?" There was no need to ask. Zhou Fu obviously wanted to learn it. However, this plaything looked very dangerous. Could it be an important technique of some aristocratic family? It's best not to teach this technique to outsiders. Why? This is already the most ordinary technique I can think of. Stifled. Everyone had this feeling. Zhou Fu took a deep breath and suppressed the greed in his heart. In the face of such a godly technique, no one would believe that he wasn't tempted. From what the young man had shown, the power behind him must be extremely terrifying. This was also the reason why Zhou Fu calmed down. Zhou Fu said, "Perhaps this is very ordinary to you, but to others, it's extremely tempting." Yes, Xiuzhu also said that. You really don't know? We really don't know. The young man was a little disappointed, but also a little relieved. Then next time you see Xiuzhu, you're not allowed to snatch her away. Otherwise, I'll beat you up. Zhou Fu's heart suddenly went off. He could see that the young man in front of him had a pure heart and powerful martial arts. He was simply a moving bomb. Pure heart not only meant that the other party was pure and clear, but also that there was no distinction between good and evil in his heart. He did things according to his preferences, just like a child. How about this? You call me teacher, and I'll teach you Firefly. The young man suddenly smiled and made a suggestion. Moreover, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that his idea was very good. It was simply a genius idea. This way, you don't have to worry. I'll also pay for the tea. Moreover, I'll become a teacher. Ha ha ha, that's great. Promise me, okay? Zhou Fu smiled awkwardly, not knowing how to reply. After a while, he didn't see Zhou Fu's response. He was unhappy that someone didn't agree with his idea. You aren't willing? Zhou Fu's hair instantly stood up. He nodded and said, "This student is willing." Chapter 142. When the youth saw Zhou Fu calling himself a student and bowing to him, he was extremely happy. It was as if he had obtained a new toy. Ha ha, I also have a student. The youth danced with joy. Let me tell you, if you don't study well, I will beat you. Looking at the suddenly serious youth, Zhou Fu could only take a deep breath and suppress his restless heart. He said in a muffled voice, "Please don't worry, teacher. This student will study diligently." Seeing that the relationship between the two had been set, Jin Peng, who was sitting in the tea shed, mustered up his courage and said, "Sir, we will leave first." Without waiting for Zhou Fu to speak, the youth spoke first. He looked at Zhou Fu and asked, "These people are your servants?" Zhou Fu said, "They are all my subordinates." Subordinates? Oh, I know. They are guards. The youth waved his hand. It's fine, just sit and listen. They won't be able to learn it anyway. Such confident words made the bone-forging cultivators in the tea shed feel extremely uncomfortable. They wanted to refute, but they didn't dare to open their mouths. They could only sit quietly and perk up their ears, listening attentively. I forgot to ask, what is your name? Student Zhou Fu. May I know teacher's name? You are called Zhou Fu, your name? Oh, I am called Shan Yuan. Then let us begin. Firefly is a type of martial technique. It can also be said to be a type of skill. It is not limited to martial techniques. You will slowly understand this point after you practice it. After a simple introduction, a pattern appeared in Shang Yuan's eyes. The lines that formed the circle were all flashing with a green light. Zhou Fu, who was being stared at by Shang Yuan, suddenly felt his body tighten. The surrounding air seemed to have a mass and was very dense. It was difficult for him to even move. Shang Yuan opened his mouth and uttered syllables one after another, like a whisper. But when these syllables reached Zhou Fu's ears, he actually understood. He understood what Shang Yuan wanted to express. These syllables were the cultivation method of Firefly. It was just that this method was too strange, and it made Zhou Fu very uncomfortable. As soon as he finished speaking, the symbol in Shang Yuan's eyes vanished. At the same time, Zhou Fu also felt that his surroundings had returned to normal. "Do you understand now?" Shang Yuan asked. Zhou Fu nodded. "Student understands." At this moment, he also understood why Shang Yuan had said at the beginning that there was no need to hide it from others. Even if you were the loudspeaker, others wouldn't understand. Zhou Fu felt a little lucky, but he felt even more helpless. Firefly was not a martial skill, but he felt that this plaything was even more precious than the so-called heaven-tier cultivation method. This time, he got himself into trouble again. Shang Yuan suddenly said, "You look a little unhappy." Zhou Fu shook his head and dismissed some of his thoughts. "I was just shocked by Firefly." Ha ha ha. Upon hearing Zhou Fu's words, Shang Yuan was very happy. He said, "This is nothing. After my coming-of-age ceremony, I will pass on something better to you." "Thank you, teacher." No need, no need. You're my student." "All right, since you already understand Firefly, give it a try." Shang Yuan looked at Zhou Fu expectantly. "All right." Zhou Fu thought for a moment. The Bright King scripture was the cultivation method that he used the most and was most familiar with. He raised his hands, and his fingers moved quickly. In an instant, he formed the Bright King Devil Suppression Seal. He hadn't used this seal for a long time. "Huh!" With a clear sound, a faint golden light bloomed on the seal. Then, it turned into a golden light and blasted on the ground. Bang! With the attack as the center, a large area of the ground shook violently. It was as if the explosives below had exploded, and a piece of the ground flew up. Zhou Fu's eyes lit up. He released the seal, withdrew his palms, and punched out. A red light appeared. There was a loud boom. The piece of ground that flew up turned into a large cloud of dust and was blown away by the strong wind. Looking at it from afar, it looked like a sandstorm had suddenly appeared. "Good. That's it. You're not very familiar with it yet. Once you're familiar with it, it'll be much better." Shang Yuan was very excited. He clapped his hands and cheered. "Looks like I'm a good teacher. I'm even better than the ones at home." Zhou Fu looked at the power of his punch and couldn't react for a moment. The strength of the tyrannical whale fist came from his own strength and the special way of channeling his strength. With the support of Firefly, the inner strength that was supposed to be channeling in his meridians seemed to have broken through the shackles of his inner strength. It turned from tangible to intangible and completed the channeling of his inner strength in an instant. Then it condensed the inner strength and created such a terrifying attack. However, what puzzled Zhou Fu was that there was no notification from his support system. He called out the support system interface and glanced to the cultivation method column. As expected, Firefly wasn't there. Don't be in a daze. Once you fully master Firefly, it won't be just like this. Seeing his new student in a daze, Shang Yuan reminded him, "As my student, although you've only learned Firefly, you can't use the other cultivation methods too crudely." Shang Yuan thought for a moment and said, "I saw that both of your cultivation methods are focused on defense. Now that I'm going to hit you, you have to defend against my attack." As soon as he finished speaking, without waiting for Zhou Fu's reply, Shang Yuan raised his hand and pointed his sword at Zhou Fu's arm. Looking at the light on his opponent's fingertip, Zhou Fu's body was once again covered with a layer of golden armor. "I've just praised you. Why are you still so stupid?" Shang Yuan said angrily. As his sword fell, the golden armor Outside, Zhou Fu's body was shattered again. Didn't you learn, Firefly? You know that cultivation method can't defend against me, so why did you still do it? You really deserve a beating. Without waiting for Zhou Fu to react, Shan Yuan took a step forward and arrived in front of Zhou Fu. With a sweep of his palm, a green light exploded on Zhou Fu's arm. A terrifying force exploded and sent Zhou Fu rolling. After sending Zhou Fu flying, Shan Yuan's face darkened as he looked at Zhou Fu, who was getting up from the ground. He reprimanded, "Use your brain. Use your brain. Firefly is a skill. It's a cultivation method skill." Again. With that said, without waiting for Zhou Fu to understand, he pointed his finger at Zhou Fu again. This time, he chose his chest. Use it flexibly? Not good. Zhou Fu was still thinking about this word when he saw Shan Yuan attacking again. His sword fell. A patch of golden light flew out from Zhou Fu's body, meeting the sword finger that was pointing downwards. Faster! Shan Yuan shouted. Bang! Zhou Fu was sent flying again. With a thump, Zhou Fu fell to the ground. It was specially brewed. Which bastard taught this little teacher of his? After imparting knowledge, he didn't wait for the student to understand and directly put it into practice. What kind of teaching method was this? Don't be stunned. Continue. A green light attacked again. A large amount of golden light flew crazily. As soon as they gathered in front of the green light, they were penetrated by the green light. Bang! Zhou Fu was sent flying again. Too slow. Continue. Why are you so stupid? Faster. Faster. After a dozen times, bang! The green light exploded on the small golden shield. Zhou Fu's body was pushed back several meters by the shockwave before he could stabilize himself. Shan Yuan also smiled. Not bad, just like that. Chapter 143. Shan Yuan looked at Zhou Fu and said, "Since I've taught you, can you help me with something?" Zhou Fu thought for a moment and said, "As long as it's within my capabilities, I'm willing to serve you." Okay. Hearing Shan Yuan's excited tone, Zhou Fu smiled bitterly in his heart. He forgot that Shan Yuan was just a child. He probably didn't understand the meaning in his words. According to Zhou Fu's guess, Shan Yuan's power was at least at the mortal evolution state. How terrifying would the power behind him be? What could happen to such a person? Shan Yuan took out a piece of paper from his pocket and opened it. There was a little girl drawn on it. Find this person. Zhou Fu took the paper and heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. So it was to find someone. This was no problem. How do you want to find her? Do you want to invite her back or capture her? Huh, there are so many options. Shan Yuan looked at Zhou Fu in confusion. Zhou Fu explained, "If this person offended you, I'll naturally get someone to capture her. If she's your friend, of course, I'll invite her back." I see. It's not that she offended me. I just wanted her to be my maid. She wasn't willing and ran away from the dock in the city. Maid? Forcing a little girl to be his maid? Zhou Fu didn't know how to answer. What? You can't find her? Hearing Shan Yuan's tone, Zhou Fu sighed. He'd better be the bad guy himself. If you don't have anything else, follow me to the city and stay at my place for the time being. There might be news of this girl tomorrow. The two talked as they walked back to the tea shed. Zhou Fu handed the paper in his hand to Jin Peng and said, "Tomorrow morning, I want to know news of this girl. She got lost at the dock." At the same time, he looked at Qin Guhong and Huang Feng and said, "You guys go too. Find this girl." Yes. After everything was arranged, Zhou Fu said to Shan Yuan, "Teacher, please follow me back to the city." Shan Yuan nodded. All right. Zhou Fu led the way, and the two arrived in front of the carriage. Just as Shan Yuan was about to get on the carriage, his whole body suddenly trembled. He looked to the east and said, "Oh no, that old man is coming to find me. Put down my young master." An old but vigorous voice rang out. A dark green light spread out from the eastern sky. Shan Yuan rolled his eyes, looked at Zhou Fu, and said, "You go beat him up." What? Zhou Fu looked at Shan Yuan in astonishment. "What are you looking at? I'm your teacher. You have to listen to me." "Teacher, are they our own people?" Shan Yuan said stubbornly, "We still have to fight. If you don't hit him, I will let him hit you." Unlucky kid. Zhou Fu cursed in his heart, but could only nod and say, "Student accepts the order." Shan Yuan's face lit up. However, Zhou Fu said again. Teacher, judging from the other party's momentum, I can't beat him. Shan Yuan said, it's fine. You know Firefly, but he doesn't. You can also use this opportunity to train yourself, in case you forget. Yes. Zhou Fu took 2 steps toward the other party and said loudly, Senior, I have orders. Please excuse me. Facing the person who came, Zhou Fu did not dare to be careless, nor did he dare to hold back. He activated the tyrannical whale fist. Layers of red mist spread out and floated in a 3-meter radius around them. Suddenly, the mist shook violently and turned into specks of red light. They surrounded Zhou Fu and flashed continuously. The owner of the old voice had already noticed Zhou Fu. At this moment, he also saw the abnormality of Zhou Fu's technique. He said in surprise, this is Firefly? Which house's guard are you from? Without waiting for Zhou Fu to speak, the voice said, That's not right. The house's guards are not this weak. Who are you? Boom! The dark green light expanded and covered Zhou Fu. One unexpected disaster. Zhou Fu sighed in his heart. Then, the red dots of light around him suddenly gathered on his fist. Boom! A red light blasted toward the dark green light. A large amount of dark green light turned into a large hand, and with a single strike, it shattered the fist energy that was emitting red light. Then it pressed down on Zhou Fu. Although Zhou Fu had expected that his tyrannical whale fist, which had always been successful, would be thwarted, he was still shocked to see the other party's clean movements. Are you stupid? Use Firefly to form a few more fists. Smash him. In the carriage behind, Shan Yuan waved his hands and commanded Zhou Fu. Young master, it's me. The old voice let out a bitter laugh. At the same time, the dark green light dimmed a lot, but it still hit Zhou Fu. After seeing the change, Zhou Fu also knew the other party's intention. It was to play with the young master. Boom! Clouds of red mist surged out of Zhou Fu's body. At the same time, the Yangming will spun and released a large amount of qi and blood. The sea of qi will also spun quickly, absorbing and transforming the qi and blood into inner strength that flowed into the meridians to replenish the consumption. As the inner strength was replenished, a large amount of red light flashed and condensed. For a moment, red light flowed on Zhou Fu's hands. Kill! With a roar, the ground under Zhou Fu's feet suddenly shattered. His body shot up into the sky, and a ball of red light collided with the dark green hand. Boom! The dark green and red light both shattered. Zhou Fu's body also landed on the ground in a sorry state. At this time, the sleeves on his arms were all torn. On his arms, blue veins popped out, and if one looked closely, they were still pulsating. The skin on his arms was red like a cooked shrimp shell. The muscles under the skin were sore and unbearable. As expected of Firefly, it actually blocked this old man's attack. A white-haired old man in gray clothes appeared beside the carriage. He first sighed at Zhou Fu, then bowed to Shan Yuan and said, This old servant greets the young master. Zhou Fu looked at his trembling arms. The dark green inner strength shattered his art of copper armor, and it was still tearing the meridians on his arms. Unlucky. He sighed again in his heart. He used his movement technique and came to the front of the carriage. He bowed and said, I've disappointed teacher. The old man suddenly opened his eyes wide and looked at Zhou Fu in disbelief. He then turned to look at Shan Yuan. Shan Yuan shook his head. I didn't expect you to be able to fight with this old man, but you lost too quickly. I also saw that this old man held back in the end. Gulp, the old man swallowed a mouthful of saliva, looked at Shan Yuan, and asked, Young master, you just said, this is your student. Yes, this is the student I just took in. How is it? Not bad, right? It only took him a while to learn Firefly. Nonsense, the old man shouted in a deep voice. Shan Yuan frowned, and a green light appeared in his eyes. He locked onto the old man. What did you just say? The old man's body trembled, and his expression suddenly changed. He knelt in front of the carriage. This old servant deserves to die. If there's a next time, even if you're a servant given to me by my family, I'll still twist your head off. This old servant doesn't dare. Humph. Shang Yuan snorted and ordered, "Both of you, get on the carriage." Yes, this old servant obeys. Chapter 144. In the carriage, Shang Yuan sat on the innermost seat. The soft cushion and comfortable backrest made it so that even though the carriage was a little bumpy, it did not feel uncomfortable. On the two sides of the carriage, Zhou Fu and the old man sat opposite each other. "Kid, don't think that you can sit back and relax just because you've swindled my young master's trust. Oof. When my young master wakes up from your bewitchment, I'll let you know what cruelty is." Facing the old man's cold words, Zhou Fu opened his eyes and grinned. He did not reply and closed his eyes again. At this time, he was recalling the feeling of using Firefly in his mind. In his sea of consciousness, the 10 fingers of the Buddha's shadow were constantly flashing as hand seals flowed out. In between Zhou Fu's eyebrows, there was a trace of coolness. His understanding of Firefly was increasing. As long as he was given time, he would be able to convert this understanding into battle strength. Then he was confident that he could fight against a first blood transformation realm expert. This was not a sneak attack, but a direct confrontation. "Kid, what is the meaning of this?" The old man's face darkened and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He was already unhappy with Zhou Fu and had endured for the entire journey in the carriage. When he could no longer bear it, he mocked him. He knew that Zhou Fu did not dare to be sarcastic, but he did not expect Zhou Fu to laugh at him. This laugh was instantly filled with sarcasm. Hearing the old man's tone that was about to explode, the Buddha's shadow in Zhou Fu's sea of consciousness stopped forming seals. Its pale, golden eyes were half open, and rays of golden light were rotating in its translucent body. Zhou Fu looked at the old man and said, "Junior thinks that Senior is right." "You." This one sentence made the old man speechless. Shang Yuan, who was sitting on the cushion, laughed out loud. This was the first time he saw the old man suffer, and he felt an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. At the same time, he looked at Zhou Fu with some surprise. Perhaps the old man could not feel it, but Shang Yuan felt it clearly. Just now, Zhou Fu's qi and blood had emitted a strange fluctuation. He was very familiar with this fluctuation. It was Firefly. Shang Yuan did not expect that the student he took in by accident would have such an understanding of Firefly. He originally thought that it would take at least 2 months for Zhou Fu to reach this stage. "That's enough. Zhou Fu is my student. He could be considered half your master." "Don't be rude," Shang Yuan said. Upon hearing this, the old man's face turned pale with anger. He stared blankly at Zhou Fu, who was also Shang Yuan's half-master. Because the person who spoke was Shang Yuan, the old man did not dare to refute. His chest was filled with anger, and his qi and blood almost stopped circulating. The carriage was quiet for a while. The old man said to Shang Yuan, "Young master, if your family finds out that you've taken in a disciple outside..." Without waiting for the old man to finish, Shang Yuan looked at him with a faint smile on his face. However, there was a cold expression on his young face. He interrupted the old man. His tone was a little angry and cold. "I won't tell anyone about this. Even if Zhou Fu did, he wouldn't be able to pass it on. You tell me, who can?" The old man shuddered and rolled down from his seat. He lowered his head and said, "Young master, this is a serious matter." Shut up." Shang Yuan's face was red with anger. It was the same again. Throughout the journey, the old man had been treating him like this, and it made him feel very depressed. The old man lowered his head and did not say anything else. After a moment of silence, the old man was about to get up when Shang Yuan said coldly, "Kneel." "Yes." The atmosphere in the carriage became solemn. As the carriage shook, Zhou Fu half closed his eyes again. The qi and blood in his body slowly vibrated. At times, they slowly scattered into blood-colored spots, and at other times, they condensed into a ball. "Sir, we've arrived at the restaurant." The coachman's voice could be heard from outside the carriage. The 3 of them alighted from the carriage. Under the guidance of the servant, they arrived at a quiet courtyard. Zhou Fu said, "Teacher, let's rest here tonight. Time is tight, and the things here are a little crude." Shang Yuan looked around with interest and nodded. It's fine. You have to hurry up with the task I assigned to you. Just as Zhou Fu was about to nod, a guard hurried over. Sir, there's news about the person you're looking for. This speed surprised Zhou Fu. Just as he was about to speak, a figure appeared in front of the guard. The guard was startled. He knew that the person in the room was an important person. Therefore, he turned to look at Zhou Fu. After Zhou Fu nodded, the guard said, Someone saw that girl at the pier. She was taken away by Blindy's men. Who is Blindy? The guard looked at Zhou Fu again. Zhou Fu said, His orders are my orders. Speak. Yes. The guard looked at Shang Yuan in astonishment and said, Blindy is a human trafficker at the East Pier. When the words human trafficker entered Zhou Fu's ears, he knew that something bad was going to happen. Shang Yuan asked again, What's a human trafficker? Young master, a human trafficker is a human trafficker. They trade people as goods. After hearing the explanation, Shang Yuan got angry. I was the one who took a liking to that girl first. The guard opened his eyes wide and looked at Shang Yuan in disbelief. Damn, how old is this kid? The smell of milk on his body hasn't dissipated, and he's already snatching people? Zhou Fu sighed in his heart. He knew that Shang Yuan didn't mean it this way, but he didn't intend to explain. He ordered the guard, Gather 50 people and follow me to meet this Blindy. After receiving Zhou Fu's order, the guard didn't turn around and leave as usual. Instead, he looked at Zhou Fu with a troubled expression. Sir, this Blindy has some background. He's a member of the Red Sea Gang. Red Sea Gang? Zhou Fu frowned. Since when did the Red Sea Gang become a human trafficker? I don't know. Forget it. Don't bother about the Red Sea Gang. Find this Blindy's lair and himself. The guard said, Sir, we've already investigated. Blindy brought a batch of goods and went to the Red Sea Gang's base. And that little girl is inside. Red Sea Gang. Zhou Fu sighed again. This was really a case of enemies meeting on a narrow path. He planned to make a move against the Red Sea Gang and the Iron Tiger in a few days. It seemed that he couldn't wait until then. Zhou Fu said, Gather everyone and go to the Red Sea Gang's base. Yes. After the guard received the order, he turned around and ran out. Zhou Fu said to Shang Yuan, Teacher, I'll be back soon. Shang Yuan nodded and said, Okay. Sir, the carriage and the men are ready. Jin Peng came to Zhou Fu's side and said, There was still some hesitation on his face as he asked, Sir, are we really going to break ties with the Red Sea Gang today? Zhou Fu knew that Jin Peng was hesitating. After all, this was a matter between the two biggest gangs on the East Pier. As long as there was a conflict, it wouldn't be a small matter. As long as they fought this time, it wouldn't be as quiet as the previous time. Break ties? How is that possible? I'm just going to find an old friend to drink tea and reminisce about the past. Let's go. Chapter 145. In front of the Red Sea Gang's encampment, Zhou Fu led more than 100 people to confront the 200 to 300 people of the Red Sea Gang. Not a single shadow could be seen on the surrounding streets. Every household had their doors tightly shut, afraid of provoking a bloody disaster. In front of the Red Sea Gang's main gate, Iron Tiger's face was gloomy like lead. He stared fixedly at Zhou Fu. Behind his fierce gaze, there was a look of terror. He had already found a team he sent to stop Zhou Fu. However, all they found were corpses. There were more than 100 people, but none of them came back alive. And now, Zhou Fu, who was standing in front of him, was not only unharmed, but also brought a group of high-spirited guards to kill him. How could he not panic? He was even certain that the Black Mountain Gang in Wangning Mountain must be related to Zhou Fu or the giant whale behind Zhou Fu. Otherwise, his men would not have died so thoroughly. Iron Tiger said in a deep voice, Brother Zhou, you brought people to the Red Sea Gang's encampment in the middle of the night. Do you want to start a war with the Red Sea Gang? Although he was panicking, he was still the face of the Red Sea Gang. The hundreds of people behind him and the experts in the encampment made him more confident. Brother Iron, you misunderstood. I came here today to ask Brother Iron about someone. Ask about someone? Iron Tiger frowned. Although he had many doubts in his heart, he still decided to be cautious. He asked, Who is it that Brother Zhou has to mobilize so many people? It must be someone important to Brother Zhou, right? Zhou Fu thought for a while. He didn't even know the name of the little girl. Although his little teacher had taken a fancy to her, it didn't seem to have much to do with him. How should I put it? I can't say that she's important. I can only say that I want to find her. If that's the case, I wonder who Brother Zhou is looking for. Blind he. Blind he. Iron Tiger was stunned for a moment. This answer was too unexpected. He subconsciously looked at the one-eyed man beside him. Feeling the gazes from all directions, the one-eyed man, who was also blind he, trembled in fear. He hurriedly explained to Iron Tiger, "Sir, I don't know this Zhou. Mr. Zhou." Iron Tiger glared fiercely at blind he. Then he turned his head and looked at Zhou Fu. "Brother Zhou, how did this person offend you? If that's the case, I'll apologize to you here. You can go back today. Tomorrow morning, I'll ask him to come and apologize. What do you think?" Zhou Fu gestured to the guard at the side. The guard took out a portrait and walked in front of the Red Sea gang members. He unfolded the portrait and revealed the face of a little girl. Blind, he was stunned at first. Then, he furrowed his brows and pondered. Suddenly, he trembled violently and his face turned pale. The guard looked at Blind he, whose expression had changed drastically, and sneered. "Now, you don't need our sir to say anything, right? Hand her over." Iron Tiger shifted his gaze from the portrait to Blind he and shouted, "What's going on? Speak." Blind he's body trembled and he collapsed to the ground. An ugly human trafficker in his 40s, who was blind in one eye, cried out, "Sir, I don't know whom." Iron Tiger's expression suddenly changed. At this moment, he understood what Blind he meant. This place was the headquarters of the Red Sea Gang, and Blind, he was a member of the Red Sea Gang. The person who was looking for Blind, he was the enemy of the Red Sea Gang, the giant whale. As long as he didn't admit it, even if the Red Sea Gang knew that he was the one who captured Blind they wouldn't let him be taken away by the giant whale. After all, this was the territory of the Red Sea Gang. As a member of the Red Sea Gang, they needed to maintain their reputation. Iron Tiger's expression changed again and again. He lifted his leg and kicked Blind he several meters away. He cursed in his heart, "F***CK, you're trying to kill me." Zhou Fu, who was standing at the side and watching the show, said after seeing Iron Tiger kick Blind he, "Brother Iron, we've found this person. Look, find the little girl in the portrait and bring her back to me." "Little brother, thank you so much." However, Zhou Fu didn't have any intention of thanking him. Instead, he looked at Iron Tiger as if he was watching a show. He even looked at Iron Tiger with a mocking gaze. Iron Tiger didn't know why, but when he saw Zhou Fu's gaze, a surge of anger suddenly rose in his heart. This was his territory. Although Zhou Fu was powerful, Iron Tiger wasn't a pushover either. Moreover, he had a younger brother who was the deputy leader of the Red Sea Gang and an expert in the blood-changing realm. As for Zhou Fu, he was just the eldest son of a merchant in a small town. Moreover, he was a hedonistic son. Now, this hedonistic son was not only on equal footing with him, but was also suppressing him. In his heart, he had been suppressing a ball of anger for a long time. Iron Tiger squinted his eyes and suppressed his anger. He said, "Brother Zhou, you heard what Blind he said just now. He said that he didn't know." At this point, Iron Tiger changed the topic and said, "Brother Zhou, how about this? It's already late today. You can go back and rest first. I will definitely give you an answer tomorrow. What do you think?" Zhou Fu shook his head and said, "Brother Iron, it's not that I don't believe you. Look, I came here personally and brought so many people with me. This shows that this matter is very urgent. I hope you can understand." What a joke. How could the Red Sea Gang be more important than Little Teacher's request? After hearing Zhou Fu's rejection, Iron Tiger wasn't surprised. However, he was still very angry. However, when he saw Zhou Fu's faint smile, he suddenly felt a chill in his heart. The anger in his heart instantly dissipated by more than half. Following that, a feeling of shame and indignation rose, making him feel as if his face was on fire. "Old brother Zhou, you don't believe in your old brother?" As Iron Tiger spoke, he put his hands behind his back and made a few gestures to the back. When the Imperial Guard standing at the back saw this, he lowered his body and disappeared into the night. He thought that no one had seen it, but all of this was seen by Zhou Fu. However, he didn't care. If the other party could send out a heavyweight expert, he could still test out the fluorescent version of the tyrant whale fist. Zhou Fu calculated the time. After more than 10 minutes, he walked towards the Red Sea gang. "Brother Iron, I heard that blind you brought a batch of goods. I'm very curious and want to take a look." "Brother, you won't refuse my request, right?" Iron Tiger's expression changed again. He looked at Zhou Fu in bewilderment and said in a deep voice, "Brother Zhou, aren't you going overboard by doing this? You actually spied on my Red Sea gang." "Brother, you don't have to change the topic. Even if I was spying on you, you were the one who made the first move. Now, between my Elysium, your Red Sea gang is only sure of opening a noodle shop. Brother, you should know this, right?" Zhou Fu laughed twice. Immediately after, his expression darkened. His vigorous aura rushed towards the Red Sea gang like a tidal wave. He shouted, "I don't have any other requests." Hand over the little girl in the painting. Following Zhou Fu's actions, the Imperial Guards who followed him stepped forward with their hands on the hilts of their swords. They shouted in unison, "Hand over the girl! Hand over the girl!" Chapter 146. A huge sound wave soared into the sky. The Red Sea gang members also gripped the hilts of their swords with ominous glints in their eyes. The giant whale's aura was like a rainbow, and its momentum shook the sky. However, the Red Sea gang members weren't made of mud. They were all gang members who had fought their way out. Who would be afraid of your loud roar? An invisible pressure formed between the two sides, like a volcano that was about to erupt. The internal pressure kept rising, and a violent mood kept provoking the people on both sides. Whoosh! The blade slowly slid across the scabbard, and a cold light appeared amidst the ear-piercing sound of metal rubbing against each other. Just as the volcano was about to erupt, an angry roar came from the depths of the Red Sea gang's encampment, and it was rapidly approaching. "The giant whale has guts. Coming to our door in the middle of the night. Are you trying to bully our Red Sea gang?" This voice made Iron Tiger sigh in relief, and he turned around to take a look. A large patch of fiery red light resembled a large fireball. Even from afar, the people in the field could feel a wave of heat coming towards them. The aura that Zhou Fu emitted was also washed away by this heat wave. Boom! The big fireball fell on the field, and a heat wave rushed toward Zhou Fu and the others. Oomph! Zhou Fu's body shook. He took a step forward, and his crimson-red chi and blood soared into the sky. It was like a fiery red broadsword, cutting off the heat wave that hit him in the face. Seeing the two fighting, the people on the side hurriedly retreated. The battle in front of them wasn't something they could intervene in. A surprise voice came from the fireball. Then, the fireball rapidly shrank, and a figure was revealed. The person who came was a middle-aged man. He looked at Zhou Fu in surprise, and then turned to Iron Tiger and asked, "Is this the person who came to cause trouble in our Red Sea gang?" Iron Tiger nodded and said, "Elder Liu, it's really him. So young?" Even though Elder Liu was surprised by Zhou Fu's astonishing vitality, he still found it hard to believe that the person who incited the two sects to fight was so young. Elder Liu, this man's name is Zhou Fu. He is the giant whale's external affairs envoy. At the same time, he is in charge of the Elysium on behalf of the giant whale, the Iron Tiger explained. "Oh, is that really the case?" Elder Liu still didn't believe it. He looked at Zhou Fu and asked, "Kid, what our Red Sea gang's ambassador Tai said just now, is it true?" "Yes and no." Zhou Fu also sized up Elder Liu. According to his observation, this person's aura was much more stable than Tong Sanwai's, but his aura wasn't much stronger. Zhou Fu estimated that this Elder Liu should be a first blood transformation expert of the older generation. "What do you mean right or wrong? It seems like the mastermind behind the trouble in my Red Sea gang is really you?" Elder Liu's eyes narrowed slightly. A sharp aura soared from his body, firmly locking onto Zhou Fu. "This old man sees that you're only in the bone-forging realm, but your chi and blood are vigorous and your talent is extraordinary. You could be considered a young hero and will definitely have a great future. However, your current cultivation is too low. If you don't want to die young, kneel down and apologize to my Red Sea gang now. Then, give me an apology gift. Otherwise, this old man can only kill a young hero like you." The corners of the old man's mouth rose slightly. His eyes stared at Zhou Fu with a playful expression. Hee hee, old people are indeed different. Even their tone is so big. Zhou Fu grinned. A blood-red mist rushed out of his body and slowly rotated around him. The surrounding people looked at the blood-red mist and could faintly smell the stench of blood. They could also feel a bone-piercing, killing intent. Demonic cultivation technique? This strange feeling stunned Elder Lu. He looked at Zhou Fu with a trace of fear in his eyes. He opened his mouth and said, "I didn't expect that you would choose to cultivate a demonic cultivation technique." Hee. Interesting. The first half of this sentence carried a tone of pity, but the second half was full of schadenfreude. There was even a trace of carefreeness. Cultivating a demonic cultivation technique was equivalent to destroying one's future. Elder Lu shook his head. A powerful aura covered the sky and pressed down on Zhou Fu. His body began to emit a fiery red light. "Since you insist on seeking death, then don't blame this old man." However, how many good people can cultivate a demonic cultivation technique? This old man can be considered to have gotten rid of evil. Elder Lu sneered. His figure flashed, bringing along a fiery red light as he struck out with his palm. Facing the aggressive palm, Zhou Fu twisted his body. Like a drawn bow, his raised arm was the arrow on the bowstring. Kill! A furious roar came from Zhou Fu's mouth. His arm was wrapped in a bloody mist as he punched out. Boom! It was a loud noise. The violent force shattered the floor between the two. The fine stone fragments smashed into the surrounding buildings and the people who couldn't dodge in time. The crackling sound was accompanied by a series of screams. The fist and palm collided. The ground under Zhou Fu's feet shattered. A powerful and scorching force constantly washed over his body. Boom! Elder Lu struck out with his palm again at lightning speed, striking Zhou Fu's chest. Zhou Fu, who was struggling to resist the internal force from the previous palm, raised his left fist and met it. Although this punch had blocked Elder Lu's palm strike, it had also distracted Zhou Fu. The force of the two palms exploded and immediately sent Zhou Fu flying. In midair, the bloody mist around Zhou Fu suddenly exploded, turning into small bloody dots. These bloody dots rushed into his body and then condensed, eliminating the fiery red internal force that invaded his body. Without waiting for Zhou Fu to fall, Elder Lu rushed over again. A flame rose from his right arm and struck toward Zhou Fu. At this time, he also noticed that Zhou Fu had eliminated his internal force. He said in surprise, "You have some connections." Although he said that, the strength of his hand increased again. Zhou Fu flipped in the air. The bloody light in his eyes was as if there was a sea of blood. Even the smell of blood around him became more dignified. Roar! Within the range of the bloody red light, there was a faint roar of a beast. Lightning danced and condensed on his fist. His fist, suffused with bloody light, descended. Boom! The force exploded. Zhou Fu's body flew into the air again. This time, he borrowed the force of the rebound and was not sent flying. In the gap between two somersaults in the air, Zhou Fu eliminated his opponent's internal force and then landed 5 steps to the left of Elder Lu. Elder Lu stood where he was and stared blankly at his exposed right arm. His sleeve had already been torn and there were several bloody marks on his arm. "You? Very good. A bone-forging cultivator can do this. Very good." Elder Lu's eyes burned with anger. He lifted his leg and pulled it out of the ground. Just now, Zhou Fu's punch had smashed Elder Lu, who was at the first blood transformation realm, into the ground. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he, a blood transformation realm expert, had his feet smashed into the ground by a young man who was an entire realm above him. How could his old face hang on? "You have successfully angered me," Elder Lu said, word by word. Streaks of fiery light rushed out from his body and collided with Zhou Fu. Around Zhou Fu, large amounts of bloody red light flew and condensed behind him. In the blink of an eye, it was as if a sea of blood had condensed behind Zhou Fu. Roar! The loud roar of a beast resounded through the world. Chapter 147. On a roof not far from the Red Sea Gang's encampment stood two figures, one tall and one short. They were Shang Yuan and his bodyguard. The two of them were watching the battle between Zhou Fu and the Red Sea Gang's Elder Lu. When Zhou Fu used the Overlord Whale Fist enhanced by Firefly, Shang Yuan frowned and couldn't help but ask, "What cultivation technique is that?" The old man replied, "This old servant doesn't know either, but from the momentum, it should be a demonic cultivation technique." "What's demonic cultivation?" Shang Yuan was curious. "In the words of my family, it's the cultivation technique of those lunatics." The old man thought for a moment and explained. Shang Yuan nodded and revealed a worried expression. "That will damage the brain. No, my disciple can't become a lunatic." He turned to the old man and asked, "Do you have any ideas?" Although he knew that Shang Yuan would ask this, the old man still panicked when he heard it. However, he still had to reply to Shang Yuan. The old man's eyes turned and an idea flashed through his mind, but his expression didn't change. He said in a calm voice, "Those monks can. Yes, the Taoist cultivation technique is also fine." This answer made Shang Yuan very dissatisfied. He thought for a moment and muttered, "Only these two? Nothing else? My Shang clan's cultivation technique isn't good enough?" Hearing the words Shang clan's cultivation technique, the old man was shocked. He didn't expect this Zhou Fu to be so important in Shang Yuan's heart. He hurriedly said, "Young master, the effects of different cultivation techniques are different. Monks and Taoist cultivation techniques are more focused on the mind and can suppress the cultivation techniques of those lunatics. This is something everyone knows." After praising the cultivation techniques of other clans, the old man naturally couldn't belittle the Shang clan. After all, he was also a member of the Shang clan. Although our Shang clan's cultivation technique is very powerful, it's still inferior to the methods of monks and Taoists when it comes to dealing with the aftereffects of demonic cultivation techniques. How could the Shang clan not have a similar cultivation technique? It was just that it was very obscure, and Shang Yuan didn't know about it. Although the old man knew, he wouldn't say it. The old man was arranged by the Shang clan to be Shang Yuan's bodyguard. The better Shang Yuan was, the better his treatment in the Shang clan would be, and the more benefits he would receive. In the eyes of the old man, Zhou Fu was nothing more than an ant. It was this ant that was actually more important than him in Shang Yuan's heart. This made him feel a deep sense of danger. Now, Zhou Fu hadn't even gone to the Shang clan, and Shang Yuan had already said that Zhou Fu was half his master. He even wanted Zhou Fu to cultivate the Shang clan's cultivation method. How could this be? Shang Yuan had worked hard for so many years and still couldn't cultivate the Shang clan's cultivation method. How could Zhou Fu deserve it? When Shang Yuan heard the old man's words, his brows were practically knitted into a knot. The cultivation techniques of monks and Taoists. Their cultivation techniques seem to be very exclusive. After cultivating them, I won't be able to cultivate the Shang clan's cultivation techniques. So annoying. Looking at Shang Yuan, who was going crazy, a sinister smile appeared on the old man's face. After a flash, he calmed down. Shang Yuan's eyes suddenly flashed. Forget it. After all, he's my student. If he can't cultivate the Shang clan's cultivation method, then so be it. When the time comes, he can still be my tower guardian. Crack, crack, the crisp sound of bones cracking could be heard. Shang Yuan looked at the old man strangely and asked, "What's wrong?" The old man shook his head and said with a faint smile, "I'm just too shocked." However, this Zhou Fu is quite lucky. Although Shang Yuan was puzzled, he didn't ask when he saw the old man's calm expression. He didn't need to ask. He was just a servant. How much trouble could he cause? Therefore, Shang Yuan nodded and said, "Of course my student is lucky." The old man smiled. However, under his drooping sleeves, his fists were pale white. Traces of blood flowed out from the gaps between his fingers. Zhou Fu activated the tyrannical whale fist. The sea of blood behind him surged violently, as if it was nurturing a ferocious beast. Following a bestial roar, the sea of blood suddenly rushed into Zhou Fu's body. Boom! The blood and qi in Zhou Fu's body started to boil. It was as if a calm volcano had suddenly erupted. The surging blood and qi followed a strange route in his body. In the end, it flowed to his arms and fists. Zhou Fu punched out. The clothes on his arms were like dried tree bark, falling off piece by piece. Sigh. Streaks of blood appeared on his arms. Zhou Fu's expression was calm as he continued to punch out. In the face of such an ordinary punch, Elder Lu's expression suddenly changed. The bewilderment from the bestial roar turned into horror. "What is that?" he cried out. After the sea of blood entered Zhou Fu's body, the surrounding air started to pressure Elder Lu. At the same time, a cold, killing intent surrounded him, disturbing his mind. The strange thing was that this killing intent seemed to come from the void. He couldn't find its source. As Zhou Fu punched out, Elder Lu felt that there was an invisible and terrifying ferocious beast above his head. It raised its tail and slapped down. It was as if a heavenly pillar was falling down. His mind trembled, and his hair stood on end. His many years of combat experience allowed him to quickly make a decision. "Ha!" A shout rang out. Elder Lu stomped his foot into the ground and stopped his body from rushing forward. In his trousers, blood spurted out one after another. Enduring the pain in his leg, Elder Lu circulated his inner strength. As flames flickered, the ground collapsed. His whole body slid to the side while sticking close to the ground. At the same time, a ball of red and white flames condensed in his hands, and he pushed it out. Boom! The fist landed. The ball of flames changed shape crazily under the pressure of the invisible fist. With a bang, it collapsed and exploded into sparks. Then, the ground under the fist seemed to have been smashed by a giant hammer. The stone floor shattered into powder, and the ground caved in. Not good. Elder Lu's eyes suddenly widened. He felt a strong and ferocious fist energy rushing towards him. Puff! Without waiting for him to defend, the fist swept past. The inner strength protecting his body instantly collapsed, and even the inner strength in his body was scattered. Elder Lu's whole body was like a rag doll that had been thrown out. With a bang, he smashed a wooden handcart on the street. He slid a few meters on the ground and hit the stone steps of the shop before stopping. Huff, huff, Zhou Fu didn't have it easy either. After the punch, he felt weak and his arm was sore. That punch just now. Zhou Fu narrowed his eyes, recalling the feeling in his mind. So strong. The Yangming wheel in his body rotated, slowly replenishing the qi and blood he had consumed. He stepped in front of Elder Lu, reached out, and picked him up. He turned and walked towards the Red Sea gang. What are you doing?" Iron Tiger saw his blood-changing realm elder being beaten half to death. The blood in his heart had already turned cold. At this time, he saw Zhou Fu walking over like a demon, like a fierce beast. Although the two were separated by a distance, he was still scared and took 2 steps back. As Iron Tiger retreated, the hearts of the Red Sea gang members were also instantly scattered. Many of them turned and ran. Even the boss was scared. How could they be heroes? Their lives were more important. Zhou Fu's figure flashed, and he came to Iron Tiger's side. Reaching out his left hand, he grabbed the other's arm. Looking at the frightened eyes, Zhou Fu grinned and said, "I suddenly have an idea. Let's talk about it." Chapter 148. Red Sea Gang, Iron Tiger Study. Zhou Fu sat at the head of the table. To his left sat Jin Peng, Huang Feng, and Chun Guhong, as well as 6 bodyguards at the 3rd stage of bone forging. To Zhou Fu's right sat the gloomy-faced Iron Tiger, the injured Elder Lu, and the Red Sea Gang's think tank, Fan Xingwen. Zhou Fu looked at Iron Tiger and smiled kindly. "Old brother Iron, is there any deep hatred between us?" Iron Tiger looked at Zhou Fu in surprise. He had imagined many scenarios, but he never thought that Zhou Fu would say such words. He thought for a moment and nodded. "Old, Zhou Fu is right. There is no hatred between us." At this moment, Iron Tiger was very cautious. Just now at the entrance of the gang, Zhou Fu's terrifying strength made him tremble in fear. He was afraid that if he wasn't careful, he would end up dead. Seeing Iron Tiger's reaction, Zhou Fu said in a soft voice, "Old brother Iron calling me an external envoy is really treating me as an outsider. And I should be like before and call me old brother Zhou." This, Iron Tiger was struggling in his heart. In the end, under Zhou Fu's gaze, he carefully said, old brother Zhou." Zhou Fu smiled in response. "You see, with this form of address, the distance between us has narrowed by quite a bit." Zhou Fu smiled, and Iron Tiger followed suit. "Old brother Iron, the girl I was looking for before, can you find her now?" After easing the atmosphere, Zhou Fu began to get straight to the point. First, he had to deal with the matter of the little teacher. Iron Tiger quickly nodded. "No problem. I'll send someone to invite him." He stood up and saw that Zhou Fu didn't stop him. He walked to the door and said to the guard outside, "Go and retrieve the goods that Blindy brought today. Go quickly." "Yes." The guard hurriedly ran out. Iron Tiger let out a long sigh as he watched the guard disappear. At this moment, he also wanted to run away, but he didn't dare to. Turning around, he walked back into the room and returned to his seat. He said to Zhou Fu, "Brother Zhou, please wait for a moment. The servants have already gone to do it." After a while, the guards brought in 6 panic-stricken, beautiful girls. "Sir, I brought them here." Zhou Fu nodded at Jin Peng. Jin Peng took out the portraits and compared them. He pointed at one of the girls and said, "Sir, the person in the portrait is her." Tonight's goal was achieved. Zhou Fu asked someone to send the little girl to Shang Yuan's place. Then he asked the rest of the girls to rest. Tomorrow morning, they would be sent back to their families. He also instructed Iron Tiger to send compensation. After dealing with the matter, Zhou Fu dismissed all unrelated personnel and ordered his guards to guard the house. The door, the back, and the roof were all tightly guarded. Not only Iron Tiger, but even Zhou Fu's subordinates were stunned by this scene. Although they didn't know what was going to happen, they knew that it would be something big. "Old brother Iron, I won't hide it from you." Zhou Fu smiled faintly and looked at Iron Tiger with a calm gaze. "I plan to look for you in a few days regarding the matter on Mount Wangning." Hearing Ren Baqian mention Mount Wangning, Iron Tiger's body trembled and an ugly smile appeared on his face. Zhou Fu continued, "Who knew that I would encounter the matter with Blindy?" He shook his head helplessly. "I had no choice but to make a trip here. Before I came, I was thinking of settling everything today." After saying this, Zhou Fu stopped and looked at Iron Tiger with a smile. Iron Tiger, who was originally nervous, suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. He understood that he was still useful to Zhou Fu. Therefore, he had a chance to live. "I can pretend that nothing happened in the past. However, from today onwards, I want 50% of the Red Sea Gang's income." Iron Tiger's relaxed expression instantly tensed up. He even forgot that his life was in Zhou Fu's hands. 50%? "No, that's too much," Iron Tiger exclaimed. "If I give you 50%, the gang will kill me first before you do anything. You're asking for my life." "No." Old brother Iron, don't be anxious. Sit down first." Zhou Fu obviously knew about this. Now, he was paying a large sum of money to the giant whale every month, especially after the construction site was completed and the new casino was built. At that time, he would have to pay even more money. At this moment, Iron Tiger also let go. He felt that he was dancing on the tip of a knife. If he was killed by Zhou Fu, the gang would definitely avenge him, especially since his younger brother was the deputy gang leader. However, if he listened to Zhou Fu, the person who killed him would most likely be his younger brother. This was a matter of principle. Zhou Fu watched Iron Tiger sit down again and said calmly, "Old brother Iron, don't you feel that there are too many forces on the East Pier?" As soon as the words came out, everyone in the room felt their hearts twitch. They all looked at Zhou Fu in horror. Too many forces? What did this mean? What did this sentence contain? More importantly, what did Zhou Fu want to do by saying this? Iron Tiger was even more frightened by Zhou Fu's words. His voice began to tremble. What do you want to say?" Seeing that the groundwork was almost done, Zhou Fu went straight to the point. "What do I want to do? From today onwards, you have to listen to me too. The forces of our 2 gangs will secretly join forces and wipe out all the forces on the pier. Under everyone's horrified gaze, Zhou Fu's sitting body slowly leaned forward. He looked down at everyone and said, "I want only one voice on the pier, and that is my voice." Silence. At this moment, the atmosphere in the room seemed to have frozen. Zhou Fu leaned back in his chair again and said, "You and I, two gangs, are still enemies on the surface, but in secret, you have to listen to me." He raised his hand and pointed outside. "Now, the people of the Red Sea gang in the station are all under my control. You should know what to do next." Huh. Iron Tiger laughed mysteriously. He looked at Zhou Fu strangely and asked, "Zhou Fei, oh, no, Mr. Zhou, do you know how many forces are on the East Pier? And what kind of forces are behind those forces?" Hearing Iron Tiger's words, Zhou Fu was not angry. Instead, he looked at Iron Tiger with great interest, hoping that Iron Tiger would say more. This was a good opportunity to learn about his upcoming opponent, or even the enemy, for free. Seeing that Zhou Fu didn't speak or get angry, Iron Tiger continued, "Mr. Zhou, on the pier of Ning in East City, there are almost 100 inns and restaurants of all sizes. Any one of them has someone behind them. If there's no one behind them, they won't be able to operate for even a day. If you want to gather all these people together," Iron Tiger shook his head, "unless the giant whale and the Red Sea gang join forces and go all out, then it's possible. Listen carefully, it's possible." After saying that, he looked calmly at Zhou Fu. He also wanted to see what this arrogant and conceited young man in front of him would say. Perhaps he could even see the other party's annoyed expression. This was something that made him happy. Chapter 149. Zhou Fu smiled happily. Now he knew that there were so many powers at the docks. Big and small, they were all money. Seeing that Zhou Fu was still smiling, Iron Tiger was confused. Did he not make it clear? No. He wanted to let this arrogant youth know what was at stake. He wanted to see Zhou Fu's ugly expression. Ning and East City docks is the most important docks in Ning and City. It can even be said that the entire Ning and East City is helping this docks. Tens of millions of taels of silver are traded here every day. That's like a galaxy, a river made of silver. Iron Tiger's spittle flew everywhere as he spoke. He was even about to dance with joy. However, Zhou Fu frowned. He interrupted Iron Tiger and asked, "The entire Ning and City is helping this docks. Is the mayor of Ning and City a fool? Or?" Zhou Fu looked at Iron Tiger with a cold glint in his eyes. "Do you think I'm a fool?" The room fell silent again. Faced with Zhou Fu's question, Iron Tiger was not afraid. Instead, he looked at Zhou Fu with a strange smile. The others around them also had the same expression as Iron Tiger. Jean Peng said cautiously, "Sir, perhaps you haven't been here for long, so there are some things you don't know. When people talk about Ning and City, it's just a general term. Ning and City is the prefectural city of Fengyang Prefecture. The one in charge is the prefecture lord, not the mayor." Continue. Zhou Fu looked at Jean Peng and said, "Yes, Ning and City is actually divided into 5 cities. There's one in the north, south, east, and west. In the middle is the main city. Every city has different responsibilities. Our East City is in charge of water transportation. The South City is in charge of land transportation, and the West City is in charge of commerce. As for the North Gate, it's where the government troops are stationed. As for the Central City, it's also called Ning and Main City. It occupies a large area and is inhabited by nobles. As for the rest, I'm not sure. You mean to say that the 4 big cities form a square, and the one in the middle is the main city?" Zhou Fu asked in disbelief. Yes. To this day, Zhou Fu still remembered the tall and majestic city gates of Ning and East City. Now, someone told him that this was only a satellite city, and there were 3 other satellite cities like this. In the middle of these satellite cities, there was an even more prosperous main city that ruled over everything. As someone who had transmigrated, Zhou Fu couldn't help but ask, "If I want to go to Ning and West City, how do I go?" Jean Peng replied, "By boat we'll arrive in 2 days." At this moment, Fan Xingwen, the brain of the Red Sea Gang, opened his mouth. "I am Fan Xingwen of the Red Sea Gang. Greetings, sir." Fan Xingwen stood up and saluted. "If ordinary people want to go to other cities, there are 2 methods. land, and water transportation. Of course, if it's someone with a distinguished status, such as Gang Leader Zhu of the Red Sea Gang or Gang Leader Xing of the Giant Whale, there are servant beast mounts for them to use. From the East City to the West City, it only takes 2 to 4 hours. Servant beast mounts? This was another new term, but from a name, one could guess the purpose of this thing. Divine beast mounts. Zhou Fu knew about this, as he had seen it many times in the game. However, from what Fan Xingwen said, this thing could only be used by people with status. At the same time, Zhou Fu also knew that the government here had an army. He looked at Fan Xingwen and asked, "Let me ask you, does the government here not care about matters between gangs?" After Zhou Fu came to Ning in East City, he had experienced several big battles. The destruction he caused was not small, and there were many people who were killed by him or indirectly died by his hands, but the government didn't care. This was very strange. In response to Zhou Fu's question, Chen Guhong stood up and said, "Let me answer this question." Meeting Zhou Fu's gaze, he said, "Among the 5 cities of Ning'an, except for the North City, where outsiders are not allowed to enter, the Central City has the strictest rules. Killing and fighting are prohibited in the city. As for the East, West, and South City, as long as you don't attack the city lord's residence in the inner city, no one will care." After Chen Guhong finished speaking, Fan Xingwen continued, "Lord Chen didn't say everything. In the East, West, and South City, after a fight, the gangs will be responsible for the damage. If the gangs don't care, then the city lord's residence will send guards to cause trouble for the gangs." This strange way of management left Zhou Fu dumbfounded. After a while, Zhou Fu suddenly asked, "If the East Pier falls into my control, will the government care?" Fan Xingwen and Chen Guhong looked at each other, thought for a while, and shook their heads at the same time. "As long as you don't obstruct the transport, the government won't care." The corners of Zhou Fu's mouth lifted, and a smile appeared on his face. "If they don't care, then that's good, that's good." At this time, Iron Tiger poured cold water on him. "Mr. Zhou, don't forget that the East City of Ning'an focuses on the transport of water, and the pier is the most important. Although there are many piers in the city, because we are close to the East City Wall, our location is special. The number of ships docked and unloaded every day is the highest in the East City. Therefore, the forces here are also tangled and complicated. You have to think carefully about what you just said." "Of course I have," Zhou Fu said with certainty. Recently, he was short on money. The Chen family and Huang Jia's money was almost gone, and he used the resources in the Elysium to build a new gambling house. As for the giant whale, as long as it didn't drag him down, Zhou Fu would be thankful. He couldn't count on it to help. Under the pressure of money, after Zhou Fu dealt with the Red Sea Gang, he suddenly had the idea to take over the East Pier. According to the people in the room, if he took over the pier, there would be an astonishing amount of wealth flowing in every day. Then, he would convert this wealth into power and help him grow quickly. This way, he wouldn't have to worry about the giant whales gang leader, Xing Gang. More importantly, as his power increased, his position in the heart of the Xing family's third young master, Xing Feng, would also increase. When the time came, the position of the giant whales gang leader would also fall into his hands. With this thought, Zhou Fu was even more determined to take over the East Pier. For money, for power, for no longer being manipulated by others. A cold light flashed in Zhou Fu's eyes, and his tone became cold. Clothing, food, housing, and transportation. Start with food and shelter. "Sir," Fan Xingwen looked at Zhou Fu fearfully and said, "It's fine to take over the restaurants and inns, but if you want to control the food, we can't do it, and we can't do it. This thing has always been controlled by the government." "The government controls the food?" "Not only that, but also things like salt." Seeing Zhou Fu frown, Iron Tiger felt very carefree. Zhou Fu thought for a while and said, "I'll give you half a month's time. I want to know how many powers there are on the East Pier. I also want to know their bases and strength." After he finished speaking, Zhou Fu looked at Elder Liu and said, "You are a blood-changing expert of the Red Sea Gang, and you also know of my plan. I want to take you in, but I don't trust you. What do you think I should do?" Zhou Fu had dozens of bone-forging third-stage subordinates, but none of them were in the blood-changing realm. He really wanted to take Elder Lu in. "Sir, I have an idea." Everyone looked at Fan Xingwen and heard him say, "Elder Lu's son died young, and his daughter-in-law also died in childbirth, leaving behind an ordinary granddaughter. Bastard!" Elder Lu's eyes widened, and they were bloodshot in the blink of an eye. He looked like he was about to devour someone. Because of his intense emotions, traces of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. On the other hand, Zhou Fu's lips curled up again. Chapter 150. When Zhou Fu walked out of the Red Sea Gang's encampment, there was already a faint light on the horizon. "It's daybreak." Zhou Fu didn't know why, but he sighed. A gust of wind blew, and the chill of the early morning was mixed with the smell of blood. At this moment, Jin Peng and Duan Cheng stayed in the Red Sea Gang's encampment with all the guards to help Iron Tiger clean up some people in order to conceal the truth of what happened last night. The betrayal of the Red Sea Gang's blood transformation realm expert, Elder Lu, and the fact that Zhou Fu was able to defeat a blood transformation realm expert could not be spread. Zhou Fu stopped and turned around, looking at the pale-faced Huang Feng and Chen Guhong. The two of them had just seen the scene of Iron Tiger commanding the guards to massacre the Red Sea Gang's encampment. The blood-curdling screams and the flowing blood made Huang Feng vomit on the spot. Chen Guhong had seen bloody scenes before. When Zhou Fu took down the Chen family, it was their bloodline that carried out the bloody methods. However, when he saw Huang Feng vomit, he also felt his stomach churn and his face turn pale. "You've been busy all night. You should go back and rest," Zhou Fu said. "Sir, don't you need us to send you back?" Chen Guhong asked. "No need." Zhou Fu suddenly noticed a white steam rising not far away. Under the steam, there were a few blurry figures busily working. It seemed to be a breakfast stall. "I'll go back myself." "All right. Who has money on them?" Chen Guhong and Huang Feng looked at each other. Then Huang Feng took out a small purse and handed it to Zhou Fu. "Sir, we came out in a hurry this time, so I didn't bring much. It's fine, it's enough." Zhou Fu weighed the purse and ordered, "You can go back, don't worry about me." After saying that, he walked towards the breakfast stall. The person who set up the stall was a woman. Beside her was a pair of siblings who were running around to help. The girl was 14 or 15 years old, and the boy was 7 or 8 years old. Seeing Zhou Fu approaching, the proprietress smiled and said, "Young man, would you like a bowl of wonton noodles? It's all good meat stuffing. The meat bones have been simmered in a good soup for several hours. It's very fragrant." Steam rose from the pot, and the fragrance of meat and noodles wafted in the air, making people feel refreshed. "Give me a big bowl." "All right, 3 cents per bowl." The lady boss was very happy that business had come to her door. Zhou Fu took out his money pouch and shook it in his hand. A few pieces of silver and 7 or 8 copper coins rolled out. Just as he was about to pay, Zhou Fu suddenly paused. This money pouch was taken from Huang Feng. As the steward of Huang Jia, how could there be so many copper coins in his money pouch? Seeing Zhou Fu in a daze, the proprietress reminded him softly, "Young man, 3, just 3. "Oh, I'm distracted. Zhou Fu said, and gave all the copper coins to the proprietress. "Young man, what are you doing?" The proprietress looked at the money in her hand and didn't understand Zhou Fu's meaning. "The meat stuffing is enough." "Meat stuffing at this price? Is it still wonton?" This time, the proprietress really didn't know what to do. After selling wontons for so long, this was the first time she met someone like Zhou Fu. "It doesn't matter if it's wonton or not. The main thing is that I want to eat it." Zhou Fu came to an empty table and sat down. "All right, young man, wait a moment." For the sake of the money in her hand, the proprietress decided to make a bowl of meatball noodles for Zhou Fu. Thus, the lady boss used a thin layer of dough to wrap 5 meatballs and put them into the pot under the shocked expressions of the pair of siblings. Zhou Fu smiled and withdrew his gaze from the stove. He looked at the money pouch in his hand in a daze. The pouch was red with gold edges, embroidered with a few cute little beasts. He poured all the contents on the table. There were only a dozen pieces of silver. Copper coins were the main currency of ordinary people on weekdays. If one wanted to pay with silver taels, they didn't use whole silver ingots, but silver fragments. Broken silver was an entire ingot of silver that had been cut into several pieces. These pieces were the broken silver. As for the rich, they used banknotes or gold leaves. Zhou Fu really didn't expect that Huang Feng's wallet didn't even have one silver ingot. He really has no money. Young man, your wonton noodles, a clear voice sounded. The little girl walked over with a large wooden bowl in her hand and placed it in front of Zhou Fu, deliberately avoiding the silver on it. Oh, thank you, Zhou Fu subconsciously said, causing the little girl to laugh. Young man, you're welcome. It's what I should do. Zhou Fu put the silver back into the money pouch, took the chopsticks, picked up the noodles in the bowl a few times, and ate with the soup. The proprietress's cooking was very average. The noodles were normal, and the taste of the meat soup was a bit bland. It was probably to save some salt. After eating a large bowl of noodles and 5 meatballs, his stomach felt warm and comfortable. Young man, what are you thinking about? The little girl at the stall didn't see much business, and Zhou Fu's thanks from before also aroused the little girl's curiosity. She saw that Zhou Fu didn't leave immediately after eating, but sat in a daze. Out of curiosity, she walked to the side and sat down. Nothing, Zhou Fu smiled. Your wonton noodles are very good. After eating, my whole body feels comfortable. I'm just in a daze. You're lying. The little girl wrinkled her nose. The clear and bright eyes that belonged to children blinked, looking very lively and cute. How do you know I'm lying? The little girl stared at Zhou Fu and said, Just now, your expression was like my father's when he heard that he was going to pay tuition for us siblings. However, my father likes to drink and doesn't like to eat noodles. But you look only a few years older than me. Why do you have the same expression as my father? Because we are all fooled by money, Zhou Fu said in his heart. Then he smiled and said, You're wrong. All right, what does your father do? Forget it if you don't want to tell me. The little girl snorted proudly and said, My father works at the docks. That's not right. There are so many jobs at the East Docks every day. Your father should be paid quite a lot. Why is he worried about your tuition fees? Yes, my father injured his leg some time ago. It was cured after he got medicine from the Jean family's pharmacy. After saying that, the little girl complained that Jean family's medicine is so expensive. Isn't there still the Chen family? Zhou Fu said casually, who knew that the little girl would say angrily, It's all because of caretaker Sure at the docks. Whoever dares to get medicine from the Chun family can't work at his place. Zhou Fu was stunned. Not allowed to get medicine from a Chun family. He said again, I think there's a Huang Jia's clinic here. Although it's not as big as the Chun families and the Jean families, the little girl said in astonishment, Little brother, didn't you know yesterday? The Huang Jia's clinic was smashed. Furthermore, one of their grain stores caught fire. What a big fire, eh? Wretched girl, come and help. The lady boss shouted angrily. The little girl was so scared that she shrank back. She stuck out her tongue at Zhou Fu, got up, and ran away. Chapter 151. Zhou Fu had just stood up when the lady boss smiled apologetically at him. Little brother, the little girl is insensible and is just spouting nonsense. Please don't take it to heart. Hee, lady boss, you don't have to be so polite. It's fine. With that, Zhou Fu waved to the other side of the street, and a carriage came over. Beside the carriage was the Chun family's logo. The carriage stopped in front of the stall, and the coachman set up the stool. He bowed to Zhou Fu and said, Sir Chen asked me to wait for you here. Zhou Fu gave an address, which was where Shang Yuan lived. After entering the carriage, Zhou Fu lifted the curtain and said to the lady boss, Lady boss, your wonton noodles are not bad, but it's a little bland. A piece of silver flew out and landed on the counter. Then, Zhou Fu lowered the curtain and the carriage started moving. Mother, did that little brother give this to us? The little girl looked at the piece of silver happily. Just this one grain was equivalent to several days of income for the 3 of them. You damned girl. The lady boss grabbed the piece of silver and put it in her arms. Then, she used her finger to tap the little girl's forehead, leaving a white flour mark. What little brother? That's a young master. Also, Don't talk nonsense in the future. Something will happen. Under the little girl's wrong gaze, the lady boss kept scolding her. The carriage stopped in front of Shang Yuan's small courtyard. Zhou Fu got off the carriage and said to the coachman, "After you go back, ask Chen Guhong and Huang Feng to find a steward's surname sure at the dock and bring him here. Also, ask them to clarify the matter of the shop and come find me tonight." "Yes, I will remember." "Okay, you can go." Zhou Fu turned and opened the courtyard door. Shang Yuan's voice sounded, "You're here." There was a table in the courtyard with steaming hot food on it. 3 people were sitting at the table. Other than Shang Yuan and the old man, the little girl who was sent over yesterday was also there. Seeing Zhou Fu walk over, Shang Yuan pointed at the chair next to him and said, "Let's eat together." "All right." Zhou Fu turned his head and said to the maidservant beside him, "Send over 5 baskets of meat buns." "Yes, 5 cages." Shang Yuan and the old man didn't have any reaction. The young lady looked at Zhou Fu in shock. After a while, the meat buns were served. In order not to disturb the others, the servant moved a small table and placed it beside Zhou Fu. Shang Yuan watched as Zhou Fu ate a palm-sized meat bun in 2 bites. After Zhou Fu had eaten 2 baskets, Shang Yuan asked, "Is it that delicious?" "Not bad." Zhou Fu nodded and placed a few meat buns on the table. Shang Yuan picked one up and opened it to take a look. It was the same as the one he had just eaten, just a little bigger. The little girl sitting opposite Zhou Fu also picked one up and took a bite. She whispered, "This is the taste." Zhou Fu finished eating another bun and said with a smile, "I was born with great strength since I was young, so I eat more than others." "More than that," the old man teased. "Your meal is equivalent to 5 or 6 people's meals. It's really not easy for ordinary people to feed you." "What 5 or 6 people?" Before coming here, Zhou Fu even ate a limited edition wonton. "Oh, it was meatball noodles." Shang Yuan rolled his eyes at the old man, then said to Zhou Fu, "We also went last night and saw you fighting with others." Zhou Fu bit the bun and looked at Shang Yuan. He continued, "After we saw that you were fine, we came back." "All right, you'd better change the cultivation technique you're using. It's not good for your brain if you practice too much." This explanation made Zhou Fu a little confused. What did he mean by it was not good for the brain? At this moment, the old man explained, "The longer you practice demonic cultivation techniques, the greater the impact it will have on your mind. You will slowly become crazy. Of course, if you obtain the complete demonic inheritance, just pretend that I didn't say anything." After the old man's explanation, Zhou Fu understood. He said, "I've also noticed these disadvantages, but there's nothing I can do. Other than this cultivation technique, the other cultivation techniques I practice are too weak. They're not enough to protect me, so I can only continue to practice them. I heard that there are Buddhist or Taoist cultivation techniques that can suppress the side effects of the demonic cultivation. When the time comes, I'll find some to balance the Tyrant Whale Fist." "Tyrant Whale Fist? Is that the name of your cultivation technique?" Shang Yuan asked. Zhou Fu was about to nod when he suddenly remembered that the 3rd young master of the Xing family, Xing Feng, had said that the name of his cultivation technique had been changed. "No, I think it was called Demonic Whale Killing Fist." When the name came out, the old man's eyes widened and he exclaimed, "What name? Demonic Whale Killing Fist? Are you sure that's the name?" Seeing the old man's reaction, Zhou Fu's heart sank as a bad feeling rose in his heart. He said, "That's right. That's the name. Is there something wrong with it?" At this moment, Shang Yuan and the young lady were also looking at the old man curiously, waiting for his explanation. The old man pondered for a moment and asked, "Last night, I heard the cry of a beast after you activated your cultivation technique. It didn't seem like an ordinary beast. What kind of ferocious beast was it?" "The demonic whale killing fist is naturally a giant whale," Zhou Fu said. "Whale?" The old man frowned. "Many years ago, when I was still a young man, I followed the master to suppress the demonic sect. At that time, there was a demonic sect elder who used a similar fist technique." At this point, the old man sized up Zhou Fu. "Yours is like a shrimp in a small ditch, while his is a ferocious giant beast. Demonic sect? Elder? Zhou Fu felt a headache coming on for a moment. Thinking about it, all his martial arts were the only ones left behind, right? He had not sorted out the cultivation techniques of the body refinement hall, and now there was a demonic sect. Moreover, according to the old man in front of him, something seemed to have happened to the demonic sect. He just did not know if it was broken or not. Thinking of this, Zhou Fu felt a tingling sensation in his crotch. Shang Yuan asked curiously, "I've read about the demonic sect in books, but..." He looked at the old man suspiciously and said, "According to your cultivation, not to mention when you were a teenager, even now, you might not be able to participate in the battle, right?" "Huh." The old man laughed and did not feel awkward. He explained, "Young master, back then as a guard of the family, I naturally had to follow the master to participate in the battle. Although I was not qualified to enter the main battlefield, I could still kill the demonic sect bastards of the periphery." After hearing the explanation, Shang Yuan's suspicious gaze did not change as he continued to look at the old man, until the old man's expression began to change and became awkward. "Cough, cough. Back then I was still young, 15 or 16 years old, but I also killed a few demonic sect bastards." And then the old man looked at Zhou Fu. "Then I heard a loud roar that shook the sky, and the entire sky was dyed blood red." And then, at this point, the old man did not want to continue. However, Shang Yuan did not care if you wanted to say it or not. As long as he wanted to hear it, you had to say it. This was the convenience brought about by identity. "Say it. What happened after that?" The old man looked at Shang Yuan helplessly and said, "I don't know what happened after that. When I woke up again, I was at home recuperating. Fortunately, the master gave me the Crimson Lotus Blood transformation pill. Otherwise, my soul would have returned to the underworld." Chapter 152. The table was silent for a long time. Only Zhou Fu was still eating the buns. After a while, he finished the remaining 3 steamers. Suddenly, Shang Yuan said, "So, during the demon-killing battle, you fainted right after you went up, right? Then what you said about the demonic sect elder was all made up by yourself." This, the old man was a little embarrassed. He explained, "After that, I heard from the guards who came back to recuperate. They exaggerated a little, but overall, there was no problem." After the forced explanation, the situation became awkward again. In order to cover up, the old man reached out to grab a bun, but it was empty. He grabbed nothing. The old man slowly raised his head and looked at the empty steamer. He then turned to look at Zhou Fu. His eyes seemed to be accusing him of something. That under the old man's threatening gaze, Zhou Fu could only speak. He did have some questions to ask. "Senior, may I know what kind of cultivation technique the demonic sect elder used?" Hearing Zhou Fu speak, the old man's relieved gaze suddenly froze. He thought for a moment and slowly said, "It seems to be called the Bloodsea demonic book." Shang Yuan suddenly said. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, he took over the topic. "I remember now. There's a record at home. At that time, various experts joined forces to destroy the demonic sect. The battle was very tragic. I even lost a few uncles because of it. In addition, it also recorded some cultivation techniques of the demonic sect." Shang Yuan looked at Zhou Fu and said, "If the demonic whale-killing fist really came from the Bloodsea demonic book, then you must change your cultivation technique. According to my family's records, the Bloodsea demonic book is one of the top 10 evil cultivation techniques of the demonic sect. Later, it was taken away by a group of nuns. It seems that they have some grudges with my family." The old man smiled bitterly and said, "It's not just grudges. At that time, our clan leader, who is young master's grandfather, almost fought with them." "Tell me about this. It's not written in the book." Shang Yuan widened his eyes, full of curiosity. "No matter where you come from, rich or poor, old or young, no one can resist the power of gossip. It is engraved in your bones and written in your DNA. This." The old man thought for a moment and said, "There are rumors that the next abbess of the Buddhist faction, Clean Bamboo Convent, was tempted by the demon lord. Later on, she betrayed the sect and even had a child with the demon lord. So the group of nuns went crazy and massacred the people of the devil cult. In the end, the devil sect was enraged. The Devil Sect's elder led a team to ambush the people of the Clean Bamboo Nunnery. Although their abbess managed to escape in the end, she lost an arm and lost 30% of her power. So, the Clear Bamboo Nunnery master ran to the Dingchan Temple and invited monk Shinjue. That great monk, Xianju, was one of the 3 great experts of Dingchan Temple and was also the junior brother of the abbot of Dingchan Temple. In the end, he was ambushed by the Devil Sect. 3 devil monarchs and 4 devil cult elders attacked at the same time. Not only did they kill monk Xianju, but they also sank Wangjiang City. The death toll is in the millions. This time, the Devil Sect angered the masses and attracted the attention of all the factions. Although the Devil Sect was outnumbered, they weren't pushovers. No matter what, they were an old sect that had reigned supreme for more than 1,000 years. They also caused many casualties to the various factions. How can there be no deaths in a battle? However, those nuns were ruthless. Taking advantage of the decisive battle, they raided the Devil Sect's lair alone and took away a large number of cultivation technique manuals and rare pills. In the end, when everyone learned of this, they sent people to block the people who were transporting the supplies. When the people from the various factions arrived, an old nun set a fire in a fit of anger. Sigh. The elder's eyes were filled with pity. In the end, we managed to retrieve some supplies under everyone's rescue efforts. Shang Yuan asked, "Then why was my grandfather angry?" The elder had an odd expression as he said, "Among the things we brought back, there were things that the nuns needed. They came to ask for them. As for the items, you could have exchanged them if you really needed them. However, those nuns were rather shameless. They directly came to ask for them, and even said that the items belonged to them. Back then, the old patriarch was furious. Clean Bamboo Convent. Zhou Fu deeply remembered this name. Shang Yuan asked in surprise, "My grandfather actually didn't kill that person?" Yes, it was too strange. According to Shang Yuan's education, if he met such a person, he would not let that person live. We had no choice. The elder also knew what Shang Yuan was thinking. He explained, "After the demon-killing battle, our Shang clan strength was greatly reduced. There were some things that we could only endure even if we were angry about. Furthermore, that Clean Bamboo Convent and Dingchan Monastery were old friends. If we killed one, we would have provoked the other 2. It was not worth it." "What happened after that?" Shang Yuan nodded, as if he understood. He asked again, "Did my grandfather give them the items?" "He did." Shang Yuan was silent for a moment. Suddenly, a strange wave of energy emanated from his body. Zhou Fu and the elder immediately turned to look. In Shang Yuan's eyes, a symbol with green flames appeared. It was hard to tell what shape it was or what word it was. Crack! A soft sound rang out. Zhou Fu's gaze swept over, and this time, he was really frightened. He saw that the table they were using had actually sprouted. A tender green seedling slowly poked its head out and then started to grow. The tender green stem slowly grew longer and thicker, then turned brown. 2 minutes later, roots emerged from the table legs and pierced into the ground. Crack! Crack! The table collapsed bit by bit. F***CK. Just as the table began to collapse, Zhou Fu's body trembled, and he flashed far away. He looked at Shang Yuan in shock. What the F***CK was that? Was it a spell? A Dao spell? A supernatural ability? Young master, wake up. The elder also quickly stood up, pulled the little girl, and flashed a few steps away. He looked at Shang Yuan seriously. When the symbol in Shang Yuan's eyes stabilized, he shouted, "Oomph." Shang Yuan was very unhappy. He stood up and waved his hand. A faint green wind appeared out of thin air. Whoosh! It was like using a hairdryer on a case that had not been cleaned for years. The wind was turned to the maximum, and dust flew into the air. However, what was flying in the courtyard was the small tree that had just grown. Gulp! Zhou Fu swallowed a mouthful of saliva with some difficulty. The scene in front of him was too shocking. This was very different from the martial arts he learned. It was a completely different power system. The elder smiled bitterly and said, "Young master, with this, we have to leave today." Zhou Fu was stunned. From the elder's words, he heard a meaning. There seemed to be some power here that they were afraid of. As if knowing what Zhou Fu was thinking, the elder turned his head and explained, "Young master and you people, one is in the sky and the other is on the ground. You don't have to be angry. This is the truth. For someone like young master to show his power here, there will soon be some annoying things coming to cause trouble. Although we are not afraid of the other party, we don't want to cause trouble for ourselves. So we have to leave today." Chapter 153. Zhou Fu's eyes flashed. He learned 2 pieces of information from the old man's words. Shan Yuan's power was indeed another power system. Moreover, this power system was very powerful. Secondly, there was a similar power in the 5 cities of Ning and in City. This power made Shang Yuan and the family behind him fearful. As for this power, Zhou Fu blindly guessed that it was the mysterious government that did not show its face all day. Shang Yuan looked at the student he had just taken in with some sadness. He did not have the time to properly experience the thrill of being a teacher. Because of his carelessness, he had to leave this place. He looked at Zhou Fu, who was also silent, and tried to put himself in the position of a teacher. He said, "Zhou Fu, I've read in a book that all good things must come to an end. Even if nothing happened just now, we would still have to part ways." His tone was filled with comfort, and Zhou Fu was stunned when he heard it. He was not sad. He was thinking about something. Hearing Shang Yuan say this, he continued, "Sai, I still have a lot of things to consult you on. In the blink of an eye, we have to part ways. This is really Sai." Zhou Fu's parting look made the old man's eyes twitch. If he was not afraid of angering Shang Yuan, he really wanted to give Zhou Fu a few slaps. In the old man's eyes, Zhou Fu's current appearance was extremely shameless. How could a person be like this? The old man's gaze naturally attracted Zhou Fu's attention. He looked at the old man and said, "I know you look down on me. I also know that I am from 2 different worlds from my teacher. My teacher is in the sky, and I am on the ground. Although I only learned from my teacher for 1 day, this 1 day is enough for me to use for the rest of my life." The old man agreed with Zhou Fu's words, but when they were put together, the flavor changed. It made the old man seem very narrow-minded and suspected that he was deliberately targeting Zhou Fu. The meaning of this sentence was very obvious. It caused Shang Yuan to look at him with a strange gaze. He seemed very dissatisfied. No, Zhou. Yes, young master Zhou misunderstood. The old man's face revealed a slightly panicked expression. But in his heart, it was as if he had eaten half a worm. He was very sick of it. Although he felt uncomfortable, he could not show it on his face or mouth. Otherwise, he would be digging his own grave. The old man was very clear about this. At the same time, he labeled Zhou Fu as sinister in his heart. As young master's guard, I naturally have to be vigilant to prevent people with ulterior motives from getting close to young master. A few days ago, this old man misunderstood young master. I hope young master can forgive me. After a short day, this old man can see that a person like young master is not a person with ulterior motives. Don't you think so, young master Zhou? Who didn't know how to be sarcastic? The old Yuan of Zhou was not to be outdone, refuted Zhou of the Zhous of his, was masters of the master of his. This was also his wish. In Shan Yuan's heart, he was not qualified to be a guard. Although he tried his best to protect him, his heart was not with him. Instead, it was with the eldest young master of the clan, which was his elder brother. It was also because of this that the 2 of them often argued. Whenever Shang Yuan wanted to do something, the old man would forcefully stop him. He would even threaten him with the matter of going home. As for the old man, he just didn't want to be a busybody. He also wanted to do something to make the clan value him and get more benefits. For example, he would let his descendants get some benefits. Therefore, his thoughts often went against Shang Yuan's, and the 2 of them were not on good terms. Shang Yuan glanced at the old man with a hint of warning in his eyes. Then, he turned to Zhou Fu and said, "I didn't prepare anything this time. My cultivation technique is from a clan, so you can't learn it. There's obviously a problem with your cultivation technique. Sigh, so annoying." "Don't worry, master," Zhou Fu said to Shang Yuan, who had a bitter expression on his face. "Disciple will look for some Buddhist and Taoist cultivation techniques in the future. Disciple will remember this tyrant whale fist. That's the only way. Shang Yuan nodded. This was the best way. But don't worry. When we get home, I'll look for some cultivation techniques. As long as there's a chance, I'll send them to you. Thank you, Master. Although it was a promise of benefits, looking at Shang Yuan's serious expression, he felt that this matter was absolutely stable. It was just that there might be some problems with the timing. You don't have to be like this. You're my student. When your strength increases in the future, I'll personally come and bring you to my house. As he spoke, Shang Yuan suddenly paused, as if he had made up his mind. He took out a round jade pendant and threw it to Zhou Fu. Seeing that Zhou Fu caught it and looked at him in confusion, Shang Yuan smiled. Shang Yuan smiled and said, "This is a jade pendant that I carry around with me. It can drive away poisonous insects and help you concentrate when you cultivate. It can also help you drive away distracting thoughts. It's very useful. You can keep it." Zhou Fu felt the cold jade pendant in his hand and couldn't help but be shocked. This thing seemed to be an incredible treasure. He really wanted it, but he couldn't accept it. Ever since Zhou Fu received the jade pendant, the old man had been staring at him with a murderous gaze, as if he was going to kill him in the next moment. Zhou Fu hurriedly said, "Master, this treasure is too precious. I can't accept it." The old man also advised, "Young master, please reconsider. This jade pendant is not only a rare treasure, but also a symbol of your identity. Not only can you not show it to others easily, but you can't give it away." Shang Yuan twisted his neck and looked at the old man, saying, "Zhou Fu is my student, and he is my first student. It's just a treasure. It doesn't matter. If I need it, I will go home and get another one." And he looked at Zhou Fu and raised his hand to push back Zhou Fu's hand. "I still have the position of the lighthouse keeper for you." "Absolutely not," the old man shouted. "Young master, it's fine if you want to give him the treasure, but he's definitely not worthy of being the guardian of the lighthouse." This time, Shang Yuan's anger was aroused again. He narrowed his eyes and stared at the old man with two cold lights. The old man's heart suddenly jumped, and he hurriedly lowered his head, not daring to say a word. When he felt the cold gaze move away, he raised his head slightly and looked at Zhou Fu. A fiery red color appeared in his eyes. Zhou Fu only felt a slight chill on his neck, as if there was a sharp blade there. The edge of the blade was not close to his skin, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. These small movements were done very secretly, so Shang Yuan didn't notice. He just saw that Zhou Fu was very uncomfortable and thought he was embarrassed. So he comforted him, "Zhou Fu, you don't have to worry about the lighthouse keeper. Just focus on your cultivation." "Yes, this student will keep it in mind." "That's good." Chapter 154. Under Shang Yuan's smiling gaze and the old man's murderous gaze, Zhou Fu kept the jade pendant gratefully. At this moment, the old man said, "Young master, to avoid any accidents, let's leave early." "What accidents?" Zhou Fu was an accident. He was deeply afraid that if he stayed any longer, Shang Yuan would be agitated and teach Zhou Fu some strange things. At that time, not only would Shang Yuan be punished, but he would also be subjected to a terrifying punishment. Ever since Shang Yuan met Zhou Fu, he had been acting strange. He did not dare to let the two of them stay together any longer, so he suggested leaving early. Shang Yuan was a little hesitant. He knew that he had to leave today, but he did not want to leave so early. After all, he still wanted to get closer to his new student. Seeing Shang Yuan's hesitation, the old man was even more determined to leave. At the same time, in the old man's heart, he hated Zhou Fu to the core and was even more jealous. Why didn't such a good thing happen to him? Even if it wasn't him, it would be good if it was his junior. Why was this? The old man hurriedly said, "Young master, it's also good for young master Zhou if we leave early. If those people come, they will find out about your relationship with young master Zhou. We could just leave, but young master Zhou can't." His words were firm and his tone was sincere, as if he was thinking for Zhou Fu. He continued, "Moreover, if we leave early, those people will think that we are just passing by. It won't hurt young master Zhou at all." As the main character in the old man's words, Zhou Fu's expression was calm as he quietly watched the old man's performance. On the other side, Shan Yuan looked troubled. He knew that the old man did not want him to stay with Zhou Fu any longer. On one hand, the old man's words were indeed very reasonable. As one of those people, although Shan Yuan was young, he knew very well how unreasonable they were when they did things. Therefore, after thinking for a while, he looked at Zhou Fu with a troubled expression and said, "Zhou Fu, I'll leave first. Otherwise, I'll bring you trouble." Seeing that Zhou Fu was about to speak, Shan Yuan instantly recalled a scene from a novel that he had read when he was bored at home. He said, "There's no need to say more. I understand. After I go back this time, I will also work hard to cultivate. When the time comes, let's go find those nuns together." None. Zhou Fu was stunned for a moment. He sighed in his heart. "I haven't even gotten the benefits yet, but I already have a group of strange enemies." However, he could only agree and express his gratitude. After all, it was his teacher who wanted to retrieve the Blood Sea demonic book for him and avenge himself. "Student, thanks teacher. No need for that." Seeing that the first round of flirting was over, the old man hurriedly said, "Young master, let's go." "All right." At this time, Zhou Fu said, "Teacher, where are you going?" "This student will send you off. On the docks of Ning and Dong, students still have some ability." Without waiting for Shan Yuan to speak, the old man said, "No need. We can leave the city by ourselves. This is my student's good intentions. As his teacher, how can I hurt my student's heart?" Shan Yuan glanced at the old man. He really didn't want him to stay with his student for a moment longer. The old man's chest tightened. He held his breath and said, "Yes." Zhou Fu smiled. He turned around and walked out of the door. After giving a few instructions, the guards hurriedly went to prepare. After a while, a luxurious carriage stopped at the door. Shan Yuan and the rest got on the carriage. The carriage was neither fast nor slow. It took them more than an hour to get out of the city gate. Then, they walked into the wilderness for half an hour before stopping. The group got off the carriage. The old man took out something from his pocket and put it in his mouth. Immediately after, a sharp voice rang out, and in an instant, Zhou Fu lost the sound in his ears. Seeing that Zhou Fu was looking at the old man curiously, Shang Yuan smiled and said, "This is a beast flute. It's used to summon servant beasts." Zhou Fu nodded. "So it's a summoning medium." The old man saw Zhou Fu's expression and thought that he was pretending to know, so he snorted softly. After a while, a strong wind came from the sky. The horse pulling the carriage moved uneasily. Suddenly, its hooves went soft and it knelt on the ground. At the same time, the grass on the ground was pressed to the ground by the strong wind. It formed circles and circles of waves. "Is this a F*King helicopter?" Zhou Fu muttered in his heart and looked up. There was nothing. Bang! The ground shook violently and the strong wind stopped. 10 steps in front of them, there seemed to be something there. The old man chuckled. "Young Master Zhou, our servant beast is here." Zhou Fu frowned. He didn't see anything. At this moment, Shang Yuan said, "Where's the jade pendant I gave you?" "Here." Zhou Fu took it out. "Drips of blood on it." The old man frowned and opened his mouth. He watched Zhou Fu cut his finger and drip some blood on it. In the end, he didn't say anything. When the jade pendant came in contact with Zhou Fu's blood, it slowly emitted a dark green light. The light was faint and not strong. Whoosh! The jade pendant trembled violently and turned into a ray of light, drilling into Zhou Fu's body. "This!" Zhou Fu's eyes widened. His hands searched for the place where the jade pendant drilled into. "Don't look for it. Concentrate and feel it," Shang Yuan reminded. Zhou Fu was relieved and felt it slightly. There was a jade pendant hanging on his waist. "I feel. What is this?" Zhou Fu was about to say that he felt the jade pendant, but when he raised his head, he saw a huge monster stop in front of him. This monster was 2 stories tall and covered in dark green scales. It was dozens of meters long and had a pair of huge wings. It looked like a lizard with wings. Seeing Zhou Fu's change of expression, the old man smirked. "This is our servant beast, flying ink lizard." Zhou Fu nodded stiffly. He had a feeling that this thing in front of him could kill him with one slap. You don't have to be afraid. Now that you have my jade pendant, this beast won't hurt you. Shang Yuan saw Zhou Fu's nervousness and said, Oh, student knows. Zhou Fu took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart. The impact of this thing on him was simply too great. The old man saw that Shang Yuan still wanted to say something and hurriedly reminded him. Young master, the servant beast has landed. If we don't leave now, those people will really come. Okay. Shang Yuan nodded and looked at Zhou Fu reluctantly. Zhou Fu, teacher is leaving. Zhou Fu bowed and clasped his fist. Student Zhou Fu respectfully seized teacher off. The two met for the first time and chatted for a while, but the other party actually taught him the godly skill Firefly. He deserved Zhou Fu's courtesy and also deserved Zhou Fu to call him teacher. Shang Yuan stretched out his hand and patted Zhou Fu's arm. When the old man wasn't paying attention, a light green light flashed and disappeared. Let's go. The moment he went up, the old man turned his head and glanced at Zhou Fu with a faint smile. Then he leaped up. Whoosh, with a huge gust of wind, the flying ink lizard rose into the air and then became smaller little by little until it disappeared. Zhou Fu turned around. Just as he was about to leave, a voice sounded. Zhou Fu, stay. Chapter 155. Zhou Fu turned around and saw a man in a black outfit with a shiny silver metal collar standing behind him. He had a long blade hanging from his waist. The scabbard was completely black, and there was a bronze tiger head in the middle. The man was dressed in a uniform, which made Zhou Fu frown. This man must be from the government. Who are you? Zhou Fu looked at the man and asked. Under Zhou Fu's vigilant gaze, the man took 2 steps forward. His right hand was on the hilt of the blade, but he didn't seem like he was going to attack. Zhou Fu, 18 years old, from Heiyang City, Fengyang Prefecture. Fathers, Hudatsai, joined the giant whale half a year ago. On the day you joined, you fought against the vice leader, Shilong. You crippled all of his subordinates and almost destroyed the building. The man came to Zhou Fu's side, but his eyes were looking at the place where the flying ink lizard had landed. It is suspected that the giant whale helped the sex gang and used you as a weapon to deal with Shilong. He gave you a demonic technique called the demonic whale killing fist. He also gave you a large amount of pills to help you increase your strength quickly. You didn't disappoint us. After taking control of the Elysium, you killed your way into Huangjia and subdued the Chun family. The man suddenly laughed. You were the one who kidnapped the Jin family, weren't you? Then, he stared at Zhou Fu with his dark eyes. Who are you? Red dots of light floated around Zhou Fu. Green escort, level 2 patrol officer, Lai Shiqi. The man's eyes flashed. You can call me Lai Shiqi. Lai Shiqi smiled strangely. Zhou Fu, you've been exposed. Come back with me. Go my ass. Zhou Fu punched out. The dots of light in the air were like dancing sparks. They gathered on top of Zhou Fu's fist. How dare you? Sensing the change in his surroundings, Lai Shiqi shouted angrily. His body suddenly exploded into a cloud of thick black mist, and he quickly retreated a few meters. Soon after, the black mist dissipated and Lai Shiqi's figure was revealed. Armor shield. Lai Shiqi pushed his right hand forward, and a round shield that looked like it was made of wood appeared in front of him. The front of the shield began to emit a grayish mist that resembled waves of water. In an instant, it enveloped Lai Shiqi. Rumble. Zhou Fu's fist landed, and a powerful force erupted. The shield shook violently, and the surrounding gray mist shook violently. However, Lai Shiqi, who was inside, was sneering at Zhou Fu. Brat, this is a shield, the masterpiece of the Heavenly Craft Pavilion, with just a mere bone forging martial artist like you. You want to break it? What are you thinking? Ha ha! Zhou Fu retreated 3 steps. His eyes flashed as he looked at the rotating shield. You're saying that I can't break it? Zhou Fu smirked as an image flashed through his mind. Whoosh! Vigorous blood essence rose from his body like a pillar of fire, and the blood-red light spots around his body danced rapidly. At the same time, the surging blood essence in Zhou Fu's body vibrated, and countless light spots flew out. It was like when a hammer fell, and countless sparks burst out. These light spots followed a specific trajectory and vibrated at a unique frequency. At this moment, a sea of blood appeared in Zhou Fu's eyes. Rumble. The ground shattered. Zhou Fu's figure crossed the distance of a few meters in an instant and appeared in front of the shield. He raised his hand and clenched his fist. Break! His fist landed. Rumble. Amidst the loud explosion, the shield began to tremble violently. Under Lai Shiqi's horrified gaze, cracks crawled all over the shield. Boom! The shield suddenly exploded, shattering into countless fragments. A fiery red fist rushed out from the center of the shield and smashed down in front of Lai Shiqi's horrified gaze. Just as Lai Shiqi was about to lose his life, a cold voice suddenly rang out. Zhou Fu, it's fine to fight, but killing is too much. A hand wearing a black glove blocked in front of Lai Shiqi and collided with Zhou Fu's fist. Rumble. The force of the explosion swept out in all directions, shaking the grass and sending it flying in all directions. 3 figures flashed out and landed on the ground dozens of meters away from each other. Lai Shiqi was still in shock. He looked at the large crater not far away, where he had been just now. Lai Shiqi, thank you for saving me. It's okay. The person who came spoke slowly, his voice trembling. He raised his right hand, which was the hand that had collided with Zhou Fu just now. At this moment, the glove on his hand was gone, and even his forearm was exposed. Is this the bone forging that you've been talking about? This calm voice was like thunder in Lai Shiqi's ears, and he was so frightened that he fell to his knees. Sir, I don't know. Our brothers have investigated and confirmed that this Zhou Fu is indeed a bone forging. Bone forging. Zhou Fu flashed and appeared beside the large crater. He was about 7 to 8 meters away from Lai Shiqi and the others. Who are you? Green Escort, Level 1 Patrol Officer, Lai Jiao. Lai Jiao was different from Lai Shiqi. Although the two of them were wearing similar clothes, Lai Jiao's clothes looked more expensive, and the decorations were much more extravagant. He had a silver belt with a tiger head on it, which made him look very powerful. Zhou Fu grinned. Coupled with his blood-red eyes, he looked very evil. After beating up the young, the old came. Tell me, if I beat you up, will there be other old things coming? His frivolous words made Lai Jiao furious. He said in a low voice, whether there will be or not, we'll see when you have the ability to beat me up. You're right, then I'll give it a try. Zhou Fu suddenly rushed over, and the blood-red light spots around him spun rapidly before rushing into his body. Roar! The roar of a beast was heard. Zhou Fu's body was covered in a layer of blood-red light. However, Lai Jiao stared at Zhou Fu's body. There was a layer of extremely thick black color. It was following Zhou Fu as he rushed over. F***CK Bone Forging. Lai Jiao recognized his plaything. He grabbed Lai Shiqi and threw him to the side. When we get back, throw all those spies into the snake cave. I want them to die a horrible death. Lai Shiqi did not know what was going on, but he could feel the intense hatred in Lai Jiao's tone. Boom, boom, boom. The two of them clashed together. The two of them kept exchanging blows, and balls of energy exploded between them. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged 20 to 30 blows. Lai Jiao's arms were in extreme pain, which stimulated his nerves. F***CK off. Lai Jiao dodged Zhou Fu's fist. He twisted his body, and like a fish swimming against the current, he looked for a gap in Zhou Fu's attack and struck out with his palm. Zhou Fu's eyes flashed with blood-red light, and a layer of golden shoulder armor appeared. Pong! Lai Jiao's palm struck out. The shoulder armor cracked, but had blocked 70% of Lai Jiao's palm attack. Bastard! Seeing that his attack was blocked, Lai Jiao suddenly changed his move. His palm turned into a claw, and he grabbed Zhou Fu's shoulder. He then exerted force with his 5 fingers, as if he was going to crush Zhou Fu's bones. What happened?